Get ready. We can go ahead and get rolling. Um, yeah, let's first person up. We're gonna start with Sharifa. She's our guest of honor for today. We got a lot of usual suspects up here. We'll go ahead and start with Sharifa. Let her introduce herself.
I'll introduce myself. Okay, good. Hi, I'm Sharifa Murdoch, co-owner of Liberty Fashion and Lifestyle Fairs, which is fashion trade shows. That's Liberty, Capsule, and Cabana, and owner of Envision Fest. And I'm from Brooklyn, and I'm an Aquarius.
I like how you threw the Brooklyn in there, yo. I like how you made sure you threw Brooklyn in there.
Yeah, we have to. We have to represent all the time.
Jay, you want to go? You want to go?
Yeah, I'm James. I'm taking a break. I'm taking a break, letting Dave run the show today, man. Y'all gonna hear so much of my voice. I figured y'all gotta be getting tired of the sound of it. But I'm James Whitner, owner of the Whitaker Group. I appreciate y'all investing y'all time in the platform and coming to help us do what we do.
No doubt, no doubt. Mr. Wise, go for it, my brother.
Appreciate it, Dave. Thank you. Hey, everybody. Eric Wise. I'm the vice president of product at Adidas. Again, happy as always to be here with the crew and welcome Sharifa. So excited to get it going.
No doubt, no doubt. Daniel, go ahead and introduce yourself, my man.
Daniel Yadgard, co-founder of the foundation. Normally like being in the background, but I'm in the foreground tonight. I pretty much handle everything at the foundation that's not apparel and footwear. So headphones, speakers, water carbonators, whatever it is.
Oh man, we got the extra gems tonight. We switching industries a little bit, so everybody that's watching, y'all know where those questions need to go outside of footwear and apparel and all of that. Go for it, Pel.
My name is Pel. I'm a Sagittarius. I like long walks in the park. I'm the creative director over at the foundation. Happy to be here.
No doubt, no doubt. Brother Ari.
Ari Langsdorf, happy to be here. Thanks, Whitaker Group, Dave, James for putting this on. I clean the windows, handle supply closet.
Man, listen, let's just let this be known. If anybody needs capital for their venture, Ari does. Ari does high interest loans.
No, real talk. Happy to be here. Co-owner of the foundation along with
Hit him on the chat,
Daniel,
man.
Dre, and Antoine.
Ari,
check.
man, hit the chat.
So,
Just hit Ari at ARI.
Hey, Dre, go for it, man.
Dre Hayes, one of the co-founders of the Four Horsemen. The foundation. Just happy to be here with my brothers. We all present tonight. So, this is it's like a family affair. So
definitely. Hutch, it's your turn, man. See if we can get Hutch to say something this time around.
Antoine, 5th grade spelling bee champion, co-founder of the foundation. What's up, Sharifa?
No doubt.
Hey, Antoine.
And my name is David Butler. I handle community initiatives over at the Whitaker Group. Tonight is free game, man. It's all about, providing information to folks, answering questions, engaging, building community, really just trying to build some connectivity during these times where everybody's in the house. And, we've been building Be Social spaces for the last 1.5 years, 2 years around the country. And we just trying to find ways to bridge that community online. And free game was something that we started in Charlotte to make sure James had access to the community and the community had access to James, and that there was an ongoing dialogue. He's also done free game down in Atlanta at our Atlanta Be Social location. And we got a couple more Be Social locations on tap after we all are allowed to get up out the crib again. So thank y'all for tuning in. A lot more Be Social program is on the way as well. So go ahead and follow Be Social, please, if you're not following that platform. And yeah, man, we'll get it started. So tonight we're supposed to be talking about the journey and just kind of owning your personal journey, owning your personal narrative. Since we do have, since Sharifa's like our special guest tonight, could you give a little bit of a 30,000 foot view of kind of what your process was like to get to where you are? We know you got a great business, a hype interview if anybody wants the in-depth story, but if you could give a quick version of it. I know it's a lot to fit in, but if you could give a quick version of it, what would that be?
All right. I was working in a store called Atrium. Atrium was like one of its kind back in the day. and the owner of Atrium asked me to do a fashion trade show with him. Didn't know what it was. I was 23 years old. We ended up doing the fashion trade show. Started out with 76 brands, and we ended up selling the trade show within 4 years. And within the 4 years, the trade show grew from 76 brands to over 1,000. But then it became corporate, and I just felt like it wasn't something that I wanted to do anymore after 10 years of working there. So then the owner of Atrium again came back and was like, yo, let's do another show. But then he asked me to be his business partner. He said he didn't want to do it without me. And I thought to myself, I'm a young girl growing up in Brooklyn. I can either work for someone for the rest of my life, or I could be a business partner with someone that I respect. At the time, he was my mentor as well. So I kind of like went with whatever he did. And that's how I became co-owner of Liberty Fairs.
Talk to me some about that, Sharifa. This is James. Talk to me some about that process, because you slid into things that we hear, but I don't know if everybody hears. Talk to me about your process of trusting someone and trusting that someone had your back and had your best interest in mind. Because a lot of times we know in our business that's not the case.
Yeah.
And we watch a lot of people, sometimes I'm looking for the right word. Bet on the wrong horse.
Yeah.
Like, how did you know you were in the right place?
So when I was working at Atrium, I had left and I went to work at Louis Vuitton. So I was building their whole repair department, and they were building me an office in their new Louis Vuitton company. And he called me back and he was just like, look, everyone's coming back to Atrium to work. And I was like, I don't want to work as a sales girl in a store. Like I did that already. I wanted to kind of move on from that. And he was like, yo, just trust me. Something about the trust me, I kind of just went with, this Sam, who's my business partner, he's a different kind of guy. First off, he's white, he's Israeli, he's not African American. And for him to bet on a young Black girl, just seeing the way he moved actually in the store as well. If anyone came to the store to get a job, he didn't look at color. And I paid attention to that. When you go into certain stores and you feel uncomfortable, you used to feel uncomfortable, they made you feel uncomfortable. He didn't make you feel uncomfortable. Everyone was welcome. And he just always gave people a chance. And that's what made me trust him so much. Because without that, I wouldn't have went with him. He was like, it was just something within him that made me feel like I can trust him. And it turned out to be for a great cause.
I'm on mute. I'm sorry. That was the insight that I was looking for, because, even myself, that's something that I still struggle with to this day. Like, just plainly said, most people are full of shit, right?
Yeah.
And you just like your journey, like even from the beginning, and you having the just wherewithal to understand, like leave what you were creating as your plan to kind of jump on heads. Like, yo, it's an incredible story, and all the praise to him for making sure he had your back.
No, you know what it is? You have to be humble, right? And I think for so many of us, we sometimes think we're bigger than what we really are. I realized what I was, right? I was a young girl that worked at McDonald's. I worked at Key Food. Like I said, I grew up in Brooklyn, so I did those odds and ends. And then I went to Atrium, and I worked at Donna Karan, and I worked at Louis Vuitton. And I just felt like this would be my opportunity to start building who Sharifa Cujo at the time was. And it really, I owe a lot to him, because I wouldn't be the woman that I am in business today if it wasn't for him.
Yeah, once again, shout out to him, because there aren't many. Obviously, I'm blessed to know a lot of people who do it right, but we hear a lot of horror stories. Mm-hmm. And for him to have coming from Brooklyn and watching you grow up through his business and being willing to bet on you for the long haul, incredible.
Yeah. Running right off of Sharifa's story, there's a young lady named Sabrina who has a question about advice for women that are starting businesses in kind of like smaller markets. So we're gonna go ahead and get Sabrina up, let her ask her question. Go for it.
Hear us?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi. So I'm Asia May. This is my partner Sabrina. We run a creative agency called Ill Vibe the Tribe, and we live in a city that doesn't have the infrastructure to do the creative business that we wanted to do. So we came on here to look for any advice on getting that business moving and creating that scene here in Charleston.
What kind of creative business are you trying to do?
So basically, creative production is what we're getting into. We do a lot of live events that help artists get visibility. So we throw art markets. We're looking to get into more things where we're able to throw like release parties, book launches, just kind of things like that to give a little flavor to the scene and get people to support the arts more.
No, I totally get it. Look, first of all, I'm so happy you guys are on here. I'm happy to see you doing what you do. Do you guys have mentors at all?
A few. We have like some friends who are kind of like a little further along, like one a little further along in doing some of the things that we're doing. So we are still looking for more mentors as well.
Well, you should hit me up on Sharifa Says on Instagram. Just DM me and we can chat.
Okay.
But I think the first thing I would do is say it's so important to get mentors. Like I've worked with the guys on here for a long time, Ari, Dre, Hutch, and Daniel. I kind of look at them as mentors sometime as well. We've been together for, Daniel, what are you saying?
Look up to you.
Guys, just to see where they came from and where they are today is phenomenal. Just to see how they've been able to pivot their business and make the decisions. So it's one thing that's important to me, I would say, is to mentor people, because I think that we all have to start helping each other. Another thing I have to suggest for me is that I never had another African American woman help me get where I'm at. So I vow to help as many women get where they are, because it's important to me, right? I would say while we're on this quarantine, you get on LinkedIn and you start contacting people and start, like, people are home, so they're going to start answering questions. They want to talk to. They want to talk to people. So start communicating with people within that network of yours and understand what you're really trying to build. But also, first things first, come up with a solid plan that sounds right, and then speak to your mentor to make sure it sounds right. You know, I don't want you to start contacting people just outside the box, but come up with a strategic plan that you guys can kind of follow through on while we're on this pause, because this pause is a great time. As unfortunate as it is a great time to like really and truly get yourself together. Like that's what I think we've been pulling the break for, is to get ourselves together. I think we were all running so fast that we didn't have any time to catch up. So I would say first things first, get a mentor, come up with a strategic plan. I'll speak with you guys offline and see what we can do and how I can help in my process and go from there.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
We'll definitely hit you up.
Please do.
So the next individual has a question for Eric. What was the turning point of your career?
Who was it?
Who was that for?
This is a question for Eric Wise. Eric, what was the turning point in your career?
That's a good question. I think for me, my journey is a little wild. It kind of started in sports first, always dreaming about being a pro football player. I played arena ball. I did that didn't work out. I did I sold some mutual funds for a while, and then got into retail, where I met a lot of these people on the call way back. And I bet on myself one time, started my own business, came back, and then bet on myself again to come to Portland. I think the turning point is in all those times, whether the ups or the downs, you kind of learn to be fearless. And the people who win, whether it's in this business or the more we kind of see other people outside of the industry, the people who bet on themselves and are fearless really win. So just having the fortitude in myself and the belief in myself by kind of going through the ups and downs, that was probably to give you the confidence to kind of go forward. I don't think there's one big turning point. I think it's more just having the confidence to bet on yourself and be fearless throughout the journey, because there's always going to be ups and downs. Yeah.
Nina, did we get her name?
My name's Lindsay.
Hey, Lindsay, how are you?
Doing good.
Did we make sure we got through all the parts of your question?
You did, yeah. Thanks for hosting.
No, we appreciate you. We appreciate you for investing your time.
Hi.
How you doing, bro?
Doing good. I was actually in the other free game a couple weeks ago, and I really enjoyed it. So I definitely wanted to tune in again.
No, thank you for investing your time, bro. You want to ask your question specifically? You want to go out again, answer your question so we make sure we get all the context?
Yeah, of course. So I'm actually based in LA. I do primarily like photography work, but I'm also looking to get into like design and like also like marketing and stuff like that. My question is, so I've been in contact with like a couple of like creative directors of various like clothing brands as well as like some boutiques as well. It's just I'm having like a little trouble like trying to secure it. I was like talking with a brand in particular to pick up like a marketing internship, but it was really tricky to like just secure that. Like he actually hit me up to do like interviews twice, but then when it came time to when they wanted to like I never got like a location and time like and stuff like that. I was wondering if that's just the industry or is it just unfortunate or ironic, but that's pretty much my question.
Foundation Brothers?
I'll take this. Philip, thanks for coming on, especially a second time, and appreciate the question and the color around it. That's just like bad business, if you would ask us, I would say, to not make appointments and give dates and gates. I don't know the circumstance or the context of the email, so I don't want to judge someone else's actions. You know, I would ask, like, was there some weird context or miscommunication or something not sent, or they just dropped the ball? To me, if they just dropped the ball, that's odd circumstance. And I think getting an internship is about doing exactly what you're doing. It's about reaching out to as many places as possible that interest you, and places and brands that you feel close to and feel where you could add value. I think, you know, from myself to Sharifa to James, I'm sure to Eric with Adidas, although more formal, like we all take on interns and utilize free help. And I think, especially in a time like this, with some talent, you'll be hard pressed to find some people that don't want free help.
And I'll echo some of what Ari is saying too. Some people just suck on email, and I'm not going to just indict everyone who doesn't give dates and gates, but for you, keep people accountable, bro. Like, just because you're in a position of asking doesn't mean that you don't deserve to hold people accountable to their word and to your time. And if people don't value your time, then you should keep working until you find someone who can and does. Even if that means you're coming in as the lowest man on the totem pole.
And I'll take it a step further. You said you have a background in photography, and you're interested in marketing, you said?
Yeah, that's like kind of like what I'm willing to offer, but I do dabble in like design and stuff too. I've actually been, since quarantine started, I've been reconstructing my own clothes and just like also making patterns and stuff like that. So I actually want to intern offering my like skills in marketing, e-commerce, photography, and then hopefully leverage into like a mentorship with a creative director.
Okay.
I would say be more specific if you're really trying to get an internship, because that's what people really want to see. They want to see that you're specific about one thing and then fit you into that. You just named a whole bunch of things that are all creative, but I think if you really want to nail something, really try and be a little bit more specific and telling the company what you want. And that'll be better for you in the long term as well.
Mm-hmm. And what city are you in?
I'm in Los Angeles.
Well, that's what I was going to say. With you being in LA, you could DM me on Instagram, and I'll connect you with our HR department. And at minimum, we can give you an interview for an internship. And
we'll show up for and give you a time and an address to meet us at.
Absolutely.
That sounds awesome. What's your Instagram?
Dre, DRE_Hayes, HAYES. If you do that, I'll make sure that.
You give him your real Instagram.
Huh?
Why don't you give him your real Instagram?
Oh yeah, Dre Hayes. Kind of hard to hide that one.
Could I actually ask a follow-up question to that, if you don't mind?
Go for it.
So in that search, what are some things that you guys look for in like an intern? Like, what makes them an interesting or an intriguing candidate to you guys? Because I'm sure you guys get a lot of people hitting you guys up going like, yo, it'd be really dope to work for y'all, but what makes them stand out?
Oh, I can even answer this one. I'll be honest with you at this point, because our company has grown a lot. We actually don't interview the interns. Like at this point now, I could talk about back in the day, but at this point, when the interns come in, by the time they get in there, we'll meet them after they start, or if we'll notice some of the same things we look for in our employees. People who have good work ethic, that have the attributes that you look for in somebody you want to employ. Those are the same things we look for in interns, and we've always looked for them. So obviously, when you come in, being able to interview well will definitely help you. Some enthusiasm and passion about what it is we do. I can tell you one thing: always be prepared. One of the worst things you can do is come to a company, and this is if you're applying for a job. We own a company that owns licenses and distributes different brands. We've actually had people come in for an interview. They didn't know anything about any brand that we license, own, or distribute. Well, that's just not being prepared. So make sure you're prepared. Make sure you look us in the eye when you're doing the interview. That shows confidence, and and we'll read it and see. Getting an internship is actually easier than getting a job, right?
Well, I also think getting the internship's about filling the void, right? Nobody needs an intern to hang out, buy free lunch, and like give clothes to, and like lay around and talk to the other employees. So it's really, a lot of times like we don't bring in people because we're like, all right, there might not be a need, and we don't need someone here to just be here. So to Daniel's point earlier, really defining your skill set and filling a gap and a need. Sometimes the need is packing boxes. Sometimes it might be photography, right? Sometimes it's a combination of the two is important as well.
Yeah, I think a technical aspect too, or a technical point to add to that is like when you're applying specifically for a creative role, is to make sure that you tailor your portfolio to the role that you're applying for, that you're looking to get. Like whenever we hire creative photographers, a lot of cats will just send their portfolio or loose portfolio in with no context, no professional communication as it relates to having putting together like any type of like letter or formal introduction, like a cover letter to go along with their resume. They just send us like a reel of concert photos. And I'm like, as somebody who's trying to hire e-commerce photographer or trying to hire a lifestyle photographer, like there's nothing I can do with your like concert photos. So I would say like whatever role you're applying for, create work that fits, that shows that you're technically capable of doing that role, especially if you're doing photography, video, graphics, etc. And that's a nice kind of a more tactical point that would help you like stand out as well. Because a lot of people are just sending Instagram links or sending links to their website. But if you take a more personal touch and take time to present your work in the right light, it can help you stand out from the pack. And that's what's worked for me in the past.
I'd like to add one last thing. I think not only know the companies, but Instagram, LinkedIn, know the individuals that you're going to sit in front of. So you have other personal talking points. So they'll actually buy into you, that you know them a little bit more, versus you just coming in kind of mechanistic and just talking about the companies as well. Have an organic conversation.
And echo Pell's point, man, knowing information about people and knowing what makes them tick. To our conversation from last week helps you get to yes. I hope I think you got the full pretty whiff of the panel. Does all that context help you?
Yeah, no, that's super helpful. I'm like really happy with everything you guys said, and I actually asked this question last time, and unfortunately I wasn't able to ask it. So it's been awesome. It's like this is like full circle for me, and to get something from every one of you guys, I'm really grateful. Thank you.
No, thank you. We appreciate you.
Good luck.
Thank you so much.
That was good kind of like overview and kind of very tactical, just for somebody who's like trying to be a photographer. I think the next person I'm gonna go with is a gentleman by the name of Sam Biddle, and he had a question just kind of about self-improvement in general, and kind of like I guess is looking for like books, resources, courses, etc. So we can bring up Sam.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Sam, how you doing, bro?
I'm good. So as everybody has time to sort of be alone by themselves. I'm always looking for ways for self-improvement, ways to learn, ways to better myself. And I was wondering if you guys had any recommendations in terms of books, magazines, resources, classes, anything that that's easily accessible during a time when we have some extra time to learn.
Well, one thing I could jump in and say very quickly is most major universities around America right now is offering a ton of free classes. I know specifically Harvard is doing it, but I think just about every other major college and university right now is offering tons of free classes on their website, so you can log on and see what they're offering, and that's something that's never happened, at least that I'm aware of. And obviously, there's platforms like this where you can come in and get information around different industries from a wide range of people who have experience in it. I don't know if any other platform like ours exists, but we're here every 2 weeks digitally. And once we get back going, where do you live?
I'm in Philly.
Oh, yeah, we don't have anything.
Philly.
Yeah. Ari's from Philly. We don't have anything in Philly, but we do show up digitally every 2 weeks. And for books, I'll let somebody else on the panel. Eric, Sharifa, y'all got any books y'all want to recommend?
I don't have any books, but I'll also say check out CourseHorse. Like lately, I've been looking into like architectural courses and stuff. So you should check CourseHorse. They also have a plethora of different courses you can look into as well.
Yeah.
A good one is Masterclass too.
Yeah, Masterclass is a ton of stuff.
You can also go to entrepreneur.com to their store, and they have a bunch of discounted courses that go through, I think it's called Skill Stack or something like that. But I mean, you can learn UX, Photoshop, photography, content for online social media marketing. It's just a slew of things, but also YouTube. Just go down that rabbit hole. And also LinkedIn and connect to people, like reach out to people. Right now, everybody's home. Everybody's home. They got nowhere to go. They're going from the bedroom to the kitchen to the living room and back again. It's a big circle. Yeah. So you get them in between that back and forth. Somebody's gonna answer.
And then I think some advice Daniel and Dave gave earlier is be sharp around the kind of topics you're interested in, so you know who you're targeting, right?
Right.
So you can ask them. So if you do get someone's attention, you can ask them very pointed questions that will help engage the conversation.
I'll recommend one book. I think it's called Start With Why. I know the author is Simon Sinek.
Yeah.
It just pretty much outlines to like when you're starting something to start with like what your end result is and why are you doing it. If you don't have a good reason as to why, then maybe you shouldn't be doing it. But that's a great book.
Okay, thanks.
I was gonna say the last platform that I know of that does courses online is Skillshare. Skillshare and lynda.com as well. And a lot of times Lynda has partnerships with your local library, where if you have a library card, you can get Lynda classes for free.
Okay.
I wasn't even familiar with that one.
And the last question I have for you guys is, I recently got into grad school as like sort of an interdisciplinary program between engineering, design, and business.
Congratulations.
And thanks. And I'm trying to figure out sort of way like going back to school for 2 years, paying for the whole thing, or trying to start my own thing by myself. And I was wondering if you guys just had any thoughts on grad school and part of the reason for me going back is to make this a career change. I haven't done design or engineering in the past. So I think this will help me sort of get out of the financial services and go into a different direction.
Dave, you want to jump in? I got a feeling you got something to say on the school one.
Yeah, I mean, I think because you're talking about something that's a little bit technical, I think school's a pretty solid place to start. I mean, I plan on going back and probably getting a master's at some point myself. And I think that with you wanting to make a career change into a technical field, I think that's going to help you out a lot more than, if you were kind of just trying to, it's not like like the way that I, got my role here where I was able to come in at one level and kind of like climb up. It's like engineering, there are certain things you just have to know, right? So I mean, I think that's definitely a good place to start, but I also would say like, in order to fast track that, is how do you get as close to the field and into the field as possible? Like, don't kind of like lean on school as being the route in. Like, school's always dope because it gives you a direct, streamlined, regimented way to get the information that you need. And it shows people that you can like complete it, but there's nothing that's going to be like actually being inside the office of someone that you want to work for. So I think it's definitely about figuring out how you can, do both at the same time and get some of that industry experience while getting your degree. So that time when you come out with your degree, you might even come out with a job as opposed to like coming out and looking for a job, but doubling down and like in between classes as opposed to like, kicking it or doing whatever or working that part-time job at, whatever store or whatever, like try and get as close to the field as possible so that you can get some actual knowledge and experience that's going to transfer over immediately as soon as you grab your degree.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you for investing your time with us, bro. We appreciate you. We appreciate you jumping on tonight, and make sure you make sure you stay tuned and keep checking us out.
Yeah, I will. Thank you.
All right, thank you, bro.
The next question is going to come from Robin Hanley. It's specifically for Sharifa.
Can you see me? Right.
Yep.
All right, perfect. My question was basically, you mentioned how your business and your like career choice kind of took a pivot when it became more business oriented. And the more I like talk to people, I realize that's like very common, how it just gets, you lose creativity or it's just not creativity oriented. And so I wanted to know if you could talk a little bit about that, because
Yeah, so once the business became, so I started out very entrepreneurial. Once it became very corporate, it became very boring. You lost the zest to go to work. You lost what you really thought you wanted to be doing at that time. It just became very monotonous where you were doing the same thing every day. And it was just too much reporting. So when I decided to do another company, it was just more like, I'd rather be entrepreneurial. I finally understood the difference between entrepreneurial and corporate. I did not want to be in corporate because that just wasn't for me. I mean, corporate is for certain people that like to get told what to do and have some sort of structure. And you can have structure in owning and operating an entrepreneurial business, but you just have to decide on what you want it to be. And once you make that decision, you just need to kind of get out because it will take you down.
I think it just comes down to personal choice too, right? Like some people are
built for that. Some people want to be corporate.
Well, and like the benefits and the options and like other things that it come with, and the 9 to 5 like predictability depending on where you're at,
Yeah. But we as an agency worked with a couple of public companies, and Ari, you can probably comment on how different that is and in the day to day.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's again, it's just a personal choice. Like I can see the benefit from both sides. I worked with a lot of guys that were very wealthy, that were very young, and at Friday at noon, that office was a ghost town. And they would come see us in New York and couldn't believe that, we still had full desks at 5 o'clock on a Friday. But again, to me, it's just mentality. It's like some people are built for it, others are not. Like I joke with my business partners all the time. If we if the bottom dropped out tomorrow, God forbid, I'd go buy a 7-Eleven franchise before I'd go work for somebody else. I can't do it. It's not in me anymore. But there's a ton of benefits to it. So it's just really personal choice. It's just what you're into and how you can maneuver. There is no right answer. There is no right answer to me.
So yeah, that actually, it makes me think. So last week you guys were talking about how, or in the past, like surround yourself with like a team members that like work like with you and you want the best for you. And so I think that like really hits on that too, like how you want to surround yourself with people with the common goal.
But like don't discount like learning. Like some of the best lessons I've ever learned and some of the foundations of my skill set. Like I worked corporate my first 3 years in this business. I worked for like a publicly held huge company for a small division, but they were huge, and the lessons learned there, and then the professionalism and structure and the math and some of the things I learned are invaluable. And then, Daniel was alluding earlier that we worked with some larger companies. We consulted with Under Armour for north of 4 years, and some of the people I met there and their intelligence level and like leadership skills are things that I took and my partners and I took some of their formats and verbiage and instituted it into our own organization, albeit in our way, in a way that meshed with our team. But there's plenty of smart people in those buildings, and there's plenty of good things to learn, just like there's plenty of things to learn not to do, so it's just the ebb and the flow. But I don't want to discount for 1 second the amount of knowledge and skill that being around people like that and working in those businesses brought.
Yeah, and I can speak to that too. I mean, I was on both sides, having my own business, being in a corporate business now, being at a mom and pop startup. I've seen kind of all three lenses. So it's like, to Ari's point, it depends upon where you're at in your life. Like if you're young, so up and coming, you're going to take, you want to look and be as energetic and entrepreneurial as possible, as I was. As you start to grow and have a family, I have 4 kids, and things like that, it just changes. But I would also say too is, the things you kind of learn as you go into this new, I can speak for myself, in this new corporate environment. As Ari said, there are people that, at 12 o'clock on a Friday, just are done. But the grind that I learned kind of coming up, being entrepreneurial in the beginning of my younger years to now still holds true. Like I'm the first one in and the last one to leave. And, fortunately, that's recognized and kind of where I'm at. So, it just depends. It's all about the journey, right? So this whole call is about the journey and starting young and kind of learning as you go, whether it's, on your own, in a corporation, both is going to set you up for the future. And that's your choice and how you want to shape it.
Yeah, I'd recommend to anyone to get the opportunity to work both at a startup and a corporation at some point in your first 5-6 years, and as you build your career, would be the best advice. Get both those under your belt, and you'll learn so much.
Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for taking the time to join us too. We appreciate you investing time.
That pretty much helps a lot with the answer. So thank you so much, and yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin.
Thank you.
Cool. Next question is gonna come from Lewis Kelly.
Hello. Hey, what's going on, you guys?
How you doing, Lewis?
I'm pretty good. Just chilling, waiting for outside to open up. But
I think we all are.
Yeah. But so my question basically is, I'm based in Chicago. And my question is basically, I don't know, because I know you guys are talking about a lot of retail stuff, but what my question is kind of dealing with basically investing into real estate, because in Chicago, there's a lot of, I don't know if anybody's from Chicago or been to Chicago. It's a lot of when you go to certain areas, you go to the west side or south side, it's pretty beat up. It's a lot of condemned, basically forgotten buildings. So a lot of people are buying up though, and some of those buildings are crazy cheap. I know you can buy a lot, an empty lot in Chicago for $10. And if no one picks it up, it's basically, you gotta wait for 5 years, something like that. It's basically yours. So I'm just trying to get some advice in real estate. If anyone knows anything about, investing in real estate, if it's a good time to invest in real estate right now, especially
James owns half of 3 major cities, so he's probably the best to answer this question. He actually owns my house. I pay him rent. He's the best person to answer this question for sure. For all you know, he owns your crib too. I'm just saying.
I'm gonna have a rebuttal to Ari's joke later, Lou. I'm gonna first get to your question. Yes, I think that my first business was real estate, residential real estate. Okay. So the thought process that you're going through along the lines of rehabbing and redeveloping communities that have been forgotten about is something that I'm super passionate about. So do you have a specific question on how to? Because yes, most wealth is started by investing in real estate and held in real estate. So yes, it's 100%.
Tell me that now, James. Jeez.
Oh, you've been telling us that for 15 years. Buy these houses.
But so do you have a more pointed question that I can help you with, or something that you're thinking about?
Well, because right now I'm building up my credit, so I know like credit's pretty important. Like somebody was breaking down, if someone comes in, want to buy a house and they have like $50,000 to put down, but their credit is horrible. But somebody that has $10,000 to put down, but they're they have like pretty good credit, they'll much rather go with the person with the 10,000 that has excellent credit compared to the person that has 50,000 that doesn't really have foreclosed, or they had their car repossessed or something like that. So yeah, I don't know if like credit, like should you start off with credit or should you start off with?
So it's duplicity. The first, go ahead, Ari. You was about to say something.
So, like, no joke, like James is definitely the guy for questions that you have. I'm not even remotely being funny. Literally, Antoine, Dre, and myself all bought properties based off of like James's methodology and understanding of how to do this, and that was the business, and like when we all initially met. But the questions you're asking to me are sound like you should pick up a couple books and maybe like do some research online and kind of understand some of the fundamentals of credit and cash and how much down and things like that, because the last thing in the world you want to do is take some hard-earned money don't come that easily, and start investing in something that you don't have the knowledge about, because it's easy to get real burnt in real estate real quick if you don't understand the plays. Like I consider myself pretty savvy and called James probably 57 times throughout the process of closing on these properties. And some of the questions you're asking to me are just let me know that you're in a place where like you should look into some like good starter books and do a bit of research so you have a stronger foundation, so you can be a little more poignant in what your objectives are.
Lou, I got one for you. That's super good advice, Ari, because I was going to say something similar. So this is what I'm going to do for you, Lou. You read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? Read the book start to finish. Have you read it already?
Nope, but I'm about to look that up right now.
Read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and you DM'd me already. I got back to you and said we would talk over free game, correct?
Yep.
DM me, and we'll go, once you read the book and start getting through the book, either on free game or offline, I'll take time and get you through this one-on-one.
Okay, for sure. And also, I have one more question. Due to the pandemic that we have, going on, a lot of companies want people to go back to work. Like they're not really, I'm almost finished with my degree, but right now, because my degree, I'm trying to get into journalism, but, due to the coronavirus, not too many people are like looking for like journalists, unless you're doing unless you got like a successful podcast or something like that. But now a lot of companies want people to go back to work. So I don't know if like you guys know of any like good trade companies to like, just to get on people's feet, whether it's doing, I don't know, doing like some welding work or some engineering work or something like that.
So right now, and I think it's a time for you to get creative, bro. Like I don't think you should change your dream because you're having a hard time getting into it, right? I think there has to be, you have to look at creative ways to get in it, and the one that I always find is working for free if you have the ability to, right? Like if you can't, then check. I think right now finding a job for most people is going to be very tough, right? So even if you can't find a job and there's a place that you want to work, go offer to work there for free and show them what you got. Because then once the opportunity does open up, if you're with the right, if you do it for the right people, I'm sure they'll bring you in. Anybody else got any feedback? Sharifa, Eric, Pal?
Well, I got some feedback. How old are you, Louis? What year are you? You say you're
I'm 25. Yeah, I'm 25.
So how long before you finish school?
I have technically one more year. So yeah, technically, yeah, one more year. Well, actually, I'm pretty much done with this semester. So technically, a semester left. So yeah.
Well, one of the things I was going to say, even, you talk about journalism, and let's talk about the changing landscape of the job market, right? One of the things that's also changing in the world is like journalism. You usually have to be a good writer, and there's this big movement towards content creation as we go into this digital age, and the way that people are shopping, consuming, and engaging. You know, there's a need for writers. So maybe the plan for you is, instead of looking at another trade, is possibly pivoting, which still is in your field, and that may be something else that works for you. Because I mean, we talk about it all the time. We all need writers all the time. I mean, we need people that can write, and if you're a good writer, you will always be able to get a job.
Yes, especially in this industry.
Exactly.
Yes.
Luz,
I was gonna say,
I got some other feedback for you too. Look at if you're just looking for work, look at essential workers positions. And then I know right now Amazon, Home Depot, and all the home improvement places, all those places are hiring right now too.
Yeah, they're building like a huge distribution center, Amazon distribution center by my house. I think it's going to be done in a couple of months. So I'm going to look into that, see what they're talking about.
Definitely look into those stuff, but I also feel like it won't take away from your journalism. I would say to try to do both. You know, that you should look also online at different articles that people are writing and maybe reach out to them, or even the paper, and reach out to them and see how they're writing their art, like who's writing these articles, and ask them, do they need new content? Like, definitely.
Question for you: with your journalism, do you have any of this stuff already online? Like, do you have a blog? Do you have?
Yeah, I had a podcast going on. You guys should check it out. It's called The Juice Chicago. Right now we're obviously got a hold because of what's going on. But me and my good friend Joy, her name's Joyce Bryant, and we just basically just talk about what's going on in this generation, with social media, relationships, like all what's going on in the world of 2020. So yeah, I have that podcast, but right now we're just putting a hold.
But do you have anything with your writing?
Right now I do. I have scripts just from the show, but not like a full like blog article or anything.
So what I would say, like
that. I just have like
kind of pivoting on what was said about, being a content writer. Blog. One of the great things about blogging is it's a form of SEO. So search engine optimization. So the web crawlers are actually looking at your content. But you can also, when you want to talk to somebody about your journalism, you can show them that. And that's your voice.
Okay.
The last thing I would say too, man, is there a lot of like adjacent, like writing has a lot of adjacent skills. So it may not be directly journalism, but I mean, in terms of like earning income with a skill that you're already like sharpening, something that allows for you to interact with clients and sharpen that skill, is looking into copywriting. So how can you got different websites like Fiverr and where you can set up a profile and essentially set up that offer those types of services, starting as little as $5, $10, $20 for the scope of work that works for you at that price point. And then you can market yourself on those platforms and find clients that way. And I think copywriting would be a good opportunity for you to do something that will help you sharpen the skills that's in your toolbox, and it's adjacent to the field that you ultimately want to get into. So that's something to look into as well. That maybe if you're a little bit more entrepreneurial, you can look into how you can work on different online platforms via copywriting and working. You can build a clientele that way, and you'll be able to feed yourself off of copywriting, marketing yourself on the internet.
Okay. Thank you guys for all the advice. Thank you.
My apologies. I was talking and I was muted, and I was going to say the same thing, bro. I appreciate your ambition and your energy. So keep investing and betting on yourself. And we're here to help you, bro. This platform is about helping people like you. So do the work. I'm here for you. You already know how to get at me. I'll obviously get right back with you. I'm looking forward to your journey.
All right. Thank you.
Next question is going to come from Jordan Heatley.
Jordan, what's up?
Hey, how are y'all?
How are you?
Hey, Jordan.
I have a question for Sharifa. What advice would you have for someone wanting to, I guess, gain confidence in their career, especially when trying to change industries?
First off, I'm going to say pray. That's the thing I'm going to say. No, but honestly, Listen, I went through a phase whereas I was kind of like put down with my career just because I wasn't in a good space. You just have to have the right people around you, and you have to start to gain confidence by talking to yourself. Only you can convince yourself that you are the shit. Seriously. Your friends around you, they're going to hype you up, but you need to kind of like really and kind of write down what you're good at and why. Write down the things of what makes you you, and what made you feel like you can do the job the right way, and what, write down those things. That's what brings you confidence. And then of course having the right circle around you and giving those pep talks that you may need.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
How are you feeling? Talk to me. How are you feeling?
Okay, so I currently work in the financial industry, and my dream has always been to work in fashion PR. But
Okay.
I've gone to school for it, and after school, I just kind of gave up on it.
Why?
I feel like as a bigger girl, it's hard for me to find myself when I look at brands.
So no. Because I'm a bigger girl, and it's not hard for us to find ourselves when we look at brands. It's hard for us to look at ourselves. That's the first thing you have to realize. You cannot do that to yourself. You need to understand who you are or who you are. You have to love yourself first. Do you understand what I'm saying? And when you look at these brands, it's not, you can't find yourself. We have to look for brands that are made for us. And that's
True.
it. You know?
I think I have a hard time finding a brand, especially I love sneakers. I have a passion for streetwear.
Yeah.
I don't know many plus size streetwear brands. And so it's okay. I can go find, another brand that does more, I guess, women's wear.
Yeah.
But finding myself in that industry it's been a struggle for me.
I totally understand. Trust me, I love sneakers and I love wearing sweatpants. But have you ever tried to, what I do, and I'm going to be honest with you, I'll alternate a men's outfit to fit me.
I do that a lot.
Yeah, but that's okay though. It's not a problem. I do it all the time. And then it makes you start to be creative. Like, do you want to do your own clothing brand? Because there's something that's missing out there. Do you know what I'm saying?
My words were going to be what I'm hearing from you,
Yeah.
and getting chills as I listen to Sharifa talk is a woman with an idea.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
It's a huge void, and you can feel it because there's a natural space that you don't see, and you're clearly passionate for. So this is an opportunity for you.
I agree.
Okay. Thank you so much for your words. I really appreciate it.
And keep in mind, listen, this platform is about that opportunity. If you need help trying to develop that opportunity, we're here for you.
Wait. What's your name again?
My name is Jordan Heatley. I sent you a LinkedIn request already.
Send it to my DM, please, so we can chat.
Okay, I'll send it to your DM.
We'll go through it. Trust me. I understand.
Okay.
Jordan, thank you for being so open with us. I love that. Thank you for allowing yourself to be vulnerable. I love all of that.
Oh, thank you for having this platform. I really appreciate it.
No, we appreciate you. Keep grinding and keep being ambitious.
Thank you.
All right.
Now I'm over here crying. Thanks, Sharifa and Jordan.
Sharifa, you killed that one. Oh man!
I know. Trust me. I want to talk to Jordan because that is an opportunity. No one is touching. No one.
She needed to hear your words, yo. That was man.
I know where Jordan going. Trust me.
Go ahead, Dave. Who we got
All
next?
right. Next question is gonna come from Soleil. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing that correctly.
I love the women showing up like this today. Sharifa, you brought them out.
I'm happy.
Yeah, she did. We got a few more questions too. I'm trying to curate the conversation. I don't want to kill her while she's up here. I want to scare her away. So I'm trying to weave them in. But it's something in the queue over here for you. So just it ain't about the. Don't get too comfortable. It's still coming.
What up, though, man?
What's going on?
What up with
you? What's good with you, bro?
Not much, man. I've been here like the last 4 times. As soon as I heard, I actually heard about Mr. Whitner through his shoe. When I first seen his shoe, I'm on my year Air Force One.
Yep.
And then from there, I might have been late. I don't know, my bad. But I just started delving deep. And then from there, I'm like, let me pay attention. I done hopped in on all these free games. And I done seen how the structure went at first, where people was throwing all the information in there. I see how y'all switched it up. But it's been great, man. I've been seeing people who run 2, 3 establishments, all the way down to a 16-year-old just making their shirts. So it's sweet. I definitely appreciate it.
We appreciate you, bro.
I'm trying to make sure I get everything right. I'm pretty much right now. I'm a designer. I have my own brand, Threads of the Gods, TOTG.US on Instagram. I'm from Baltimore, born and raised. You feel me? Northeast Baltimore.
I hear it in your voice, bro.
Maryland.
Yeah, so I'm from Baltimore, so you know how it is out here, man. All we known for is The Wire, Riots, all that other stuff. You feel me? So it's not really. It's getting there creatively, but it's not really there. So in my brand, I like to always instill Baltimore. Like when I make certain things, I like to always infuse Baltimore in there in some kind of way. So I can send like links and whatnot. But right now I'm kind of transitioning because I feel like I'm going to live and die that. I don't mean to say I don't need no help, but I'm a live and die that. I got that understood. I'm dying about my brand. I'm doing it. There's no question. Nobody stopped me.
100%.
Always had this mentality. You feel me? Just because I was born here, I was Nigerian. So, you know, when you first come up, you that African booty scratcher until you hit somebody in the mouth. You feel what I'm saying? So, you know, I've always had that mentality to stick my chest out. Like, this is what I'm going to do. I got my LLC in this. I graduated from Morgan State with a marketing degree. This is what I'm going to do, period. So getting a storefront, things of that nature, I'll get there. Right now, where I'm focusing is, I got some big ideas that on the freelance tip when it comes to shoes, specifically like shoes is what I'm trying to be heard for. And I'm having a hard time like really being heard. I really feel like I done like scratched the surface a little bit because I ran across just studying game, studying, you know, everything, paying attention on the grind. I ran across a director manager for Shoe City. Anybody familiar with Shoe City?
Yes,
sir. Your city, my city.
Yes.
Yeah. I feel like that's the distributor that I'm gonna need because you know they have the most location.
I got a better one for you, bro. Eric Wise.
Yeah.
This is right for you. So bro, I'll let Eric jump in. He gonna tell you who he is and how he can help. And how I can help is we're coming to Baltimore. We'll be there by the end of the year. So that's one conversation. Eric is about to have another one for you right now.
Yeah, I heard that 2 free games ago. I paid attention.
Yeah, go ahead. Finish what you're saying. You're talking about
So pretty much, I got a few ideas, but I focused on the distributor because studying game, I'm like, all right, it's a long shot for me to go to Nike myself. So I got to get the distributor on board and some sort of SMU department, which is what I learned is some people have. Like DTLR has one. I don't believe Shoe City has an SMU department because when I actually started working at Shoe City, I got in there, but I got into it with the chick there, got fired or whatever. That wasn't even about nothing. I wasn't even pressed. I really wanted to be in the SMU department. You feel what I'm saying? But they didn't have one. So I was just trying any way to get closer. And like I was saying, I found the director of marketing on the gram. The director of marketing, she gave me a little leeway, but she ain't really give me what I need. Like I tried to send her my formally written proposal from start to finish, and she gave me a buyer's information. All she gave me was the buyer's email. So boom, I sent it to her and I sent it to the buyer. Haven't heard anything. I plan to send it back again. I ain't planning on stop sending it. I'm gonna send it and send more content on it because it's a lot involved in what I want to do, and it's an easy thing. And I'm about profit, man. I'm about doing this, man. I ain't come here to pity pat and be talking. And I mean, it's not saying none of that with y'all. I'm just saying this in general. You dig what I'm saying? Like I feel like I really have something tangible. You know what I mean? And I've already went through I've been at this for 5-6 years, man. Like. I'm in it for the long haul, and I'm ready for somebody to take me serious.
Bro, all your energy is felt, and your approach to it isn't wrong. And I hear you, and empathize with you about. I'm from Pittsburgh. It's a city where there aren't many opportunities, right? So you got to create your own, and you got to believe. You got to believe in what you believe in when no one else will. But for you, there's opportunities, right? And why I nudged Eric is because, there's a bunch of different ways to skin a cat when you talk about product and SMUs and design. And that's something that Eric works on every day with footwear. So my reason for pointing you to Eric was because every day he deals with product and product creation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think the big thing is with all our conversations, right? Just focus. Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to get your brand out there, or do you want to help design shoes? Like, or you want to rep the city? Like, how do you want to do it?
The second one you said, that's what I want to do. I have a design, and it's an Air Force One. It's basically a rendition of Air Force One. If y'all don't know, Baltimore say the Air Force One in '84.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if any of y'all familiar. Y'all got to be familiar with DTLR.
We know. Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, DTLR has tried to like do something off this likeness. However, it didn't really resonate because the shoe didn't hit. You get what I'm saying? But they did a lot surrounding it for the city and for the people hosting like a nice little event. They brought out one of the three chariots, but I like to call them chariots. One of the three chariots to help bring the shoe back, which was Paul Blinken. He was the owner of Cinderella Shoes. It was three. Cinderella Shoes, Charlie Rudo's, which is what I'm familiar with. All the OGs, all the older people I know, my mother, all them know Charlie Rudo's. You feel me? They used to shop there. So it was them and DTLR. So that's where DTLR came in and brought this back around 2017 when they newly merged with Villa. They newly merged with Villa. And I actually went on an interview for DTLR, but I didn't get it. I really wasn't impressed because I really didn't feel like they would give it a chance since they already did it. They already, tried to do something like this. So that's why I really focused on like trying to pinpoint with Shoe City and, maybe I can get them to distribute it.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're going down the right road. Yeah. If you have an Air Force idea or any footwear idea and you want to get to it with a retailer, like Shoe City or DTLR, then I would just continue to pound that door. But what I would say too is it can't just be like, hey, there's this colorway. What's the story behind it? Because that's what's really going to sell it, not just to the retailer, but also to the customers, right? What is the story you're trying to tell? So if you're like, yo, I got this story, I'm from the city, here's how I want to rep the city, et cetera, and here's what I'm thinking, that's the idea they want. It doesn't matter if it's an Air Force, if it's another brand, it doesn't matter. The story is what's really going to center it and what's going to give those buyers or whoever it is at those stores like reason to talk to you, because they want stories. They want to rep the city. They want to be authentic to that city, and you can help them do that. Just come to them with a story. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I definitely, in the proposal, listen, I put together the whole, I'm a great writer. I've always been, I don't even know where it came from. I just always been good at writing. So I put together a perfect proposal, broke the story down to them. And you can actually look at it on YouTube. It's a simple documentary. You can type in Air Force One documentary, and it got like 3 parts. The second part is where they break down Baltimore and the story. Charlie Rudo passed away. His logo is really iconic. You feel what I'm saying? I really like that logo a lot. All the OGs know that off rip. When I was working in Shoe City, I was running across 50-year-old ladies who was telling me like, man, I used to mess with dope boys. They used to take me up Charlie Rudo, buy me all the Air Forces. I even went so crazy, DJ Clark Kent is in it. I DM'd him like crazy. I told all my homeboys, go crazy on his Instagram. We all went nuts. Yo, check your DM, ignore it. I even found his son. I DM'd his son, ignore it.
Can I say something, man? I don't want to cut you off. I just want to chime in a little bit. I think like to James's point, that the passion is felt and noted. It's coming out the screen, man. Like obviously you believe in what you're doing and your brand and your city, and that's awesome. And like passion sells product, so that's an amazing thing. I think it's rare for people to start outside of an industry and approach someone like Shoe City or DTLR with an idea and see that idea come to life on the first stab. I think when you go into an organization, especially the ones you're talking about that are fairly large in size and scope, and the guys in those buying departments and SMU departments been there for a long time. I mean, the guy at DTLR, most of us on this call know very well. He's been there since he was damn near a teenager. I think sometimes just figuring out a way to get in the door and building some trust with the people around you, and then figuring out who the right person to talk to is and leveling the ideas up from there is probably a more likely avenue to really be heard. Because I think a lot of big companies get a lot of emails with other people's ideas, and it gets lost in the sauce because there's no relationship or likeness to the individual. It's just an email. they're not talking to you. They're not seeing what we see right now, but you're in the building, you're figuring it out, you're being an assistant. Like James said, you give your time away for free, you soak up game, they start to feel you and vibe out, and that's how connections happen and people get noticed. So I think sometimes it just comes back to like brass tactics and approach. And if the approach you're using right now isn't working, maybe you need to take a look at how you're approaching the situation and figure out a way that'll make it easier for you to be heard.
Yeah, definitely. I started working there. I got in, and that was like how you were saying, trying to get that brass like touch. And I got in touch with the district manager. The district manager was that's the one who actually brought me on. She had about 11 locations. But you know what was crazy? When she let me go, she got let go like a week later. So it was like, okay. But I mean, I still, regardless, even before that, I still had the director of marketing. I still have her Instagram. I got an Instagram and I got an email. So
Yeah,
it's
but
just about,
they ain't the only ones in Baltimore, right? And like James is coming to Baltimore, DGLL's in Baltimore. DGLR supports Baltimore designers all the time. They buy T-shirts from local dudes and put them in the stores and shit. So you just got to keep hitting them, hit them all.
Yo,
They're all on LinkedIn. They're all on Instagram. Just bang them over the head to get in the door. Forget the idea for a second. Just try to create the relationship.
Yeah. Very, very good advice, Ari, and I'm going to echo that. And to help you with that, bro, DM me. I'll give you our path to Baltimore and any connections that I got with any of those guys at Shoe City and DTLR. I'm willing for you I can feel the passion coming through the screen. I'm willing at least to make an introduction. So send me over your information, and I'll help how I can.
you would you like me to send you the proposal?
Feel free.
I guess
Here, send me, DM me, and I'll send you my email address, or somebody on my team will email you privately now.
All right, bet. Oh, y'all got my email?
No, we can see you on the chat. Nina, can you send them my email address, please?
Yes, I got you.
All right, we sending the email address over now. Thank you for investing your time, bro. We appreciate you. You about to get my math now, and my social is James.Whitner.
All right, now, yeah, I got you on the gram. I definitely follow you.
All right, blessings, bro. I appreciate you and love your energy and passion, bro. Keep it up.
Yeah, man. And good luck to you.
All right, love, bro.
Already.
All right, the next person we got coming up, no stranger to most folks, especially after last week. Chantel Mack, bring her up to the top.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
It's good to be back and soaking up all this wisdom. So I have a pretty loaded question. And if possible, if each person can answer it, there was someone that jumped on earlier and they asked about turning points. And since this free game deals with the journey, I would love to hear each person's a snippet of their turning point. And Sharifa, you can do a little something different because we already heard your turning point. Yours, so whenever you go, can you share about kind of pushing past your fears, the security, that some of those things that Ari was mentioning when it comes to like leaving corporate in certain spaces, like how like specific things steps that you took to kind of push past to kind of enter into that turning point. But then for everyone else, like if everyone could just give a little bit about that turning point moment for you in your career and just how you recognized it, all of that. So
yeah. I can tell you right now, I'm still waiting for my turning point in my mind.
Like I agree 100%.
Like yo, like for me, it's like you're constantly looking at the roadmap, and I mean, obviously, hindsight's 20/20 when you're looking backwards, so you can look at all the things that you've accomplished. But I think for me, and I said this yesterday in another conversation, I'm always looking to better the last thing I've done. So, kind of turning the corner is the ability to be able to create next. And I guess if I'm thinking about one thing, I'm confident enough in our team and what we do to always feel like we were supposed to be here. So for me, a turning point almost feels like when the rest of the world acknowledged you arrived. And for us, we always feel like we've been there and and everybody else is just getting on board. Does that make sense?
Yeah, total.
So it's about being confident who we are, what we stand for, and why. And I think the bigger question is, how do you get people to come along for the ride? And I think for me and our team, and Dave will be able to still speak for himself. I think it's always about just being authentically us and sticking to our guns and understanding who we are, who we serve, and being loyal to their voice, and understanding what they want, and making sure we can lean in and give it to them how they need it, but how in a way that works for us too.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Somebody else, y'all want to?
You're on the phone with a group of people that will constantly not be satisfied. So I think if you asked, I'll sound like James here for a second. If you asked the 22-year-old me, like what my turning point, and I was at 22 looking at my life now, I could easily give you 10 examples, right? But I think as you take down certain achievements and create certain accomplishments, the turning points change because the goal gets bigger and the yardstick keeps moving out. So you're constantly looking for new turning points. I'll give you the example of, when you're 15 years old, you think $30,000 is a lot of money. Then you make 30 and you think 50's got you the lifestyle you need. And then you make 50 and you think 100 and I could never want anything else. Then you get to 100 and you're like 2 and I'm set for life. Then you get to 2 and like 4 would be the dream. Like my point to you is if you had told the 22-year-old me I had a business and employees and could sustain, I'd probably think I made it. My turning point was at some point in that interaction. But once we had that, it was like, all right, but we don't own our shit. How do we own our shit? And
well, let me narrow it down. So for everyone, what was the most significant?
Me, it's confidence.
So it's the rear view mirror. What's the turning point when you look in the rear view mirror? I think is a better question.
To me, it's Daniel, Dre, and Hutch, because like if what I didn't have that they all always had is that self-confidence to like just believe that they would be successful doing whatever they did. I always had some level of self-doubt that I could really do it without having someone to ask a question to. So for me, it was Dre and Daniel and Antoine's Hutch, sorry Hutch, kind of making me believe that we could do it. That gave me the confidence to know that there's nothing we can't do. So I guess that creation of the partnership for me is the biggest turning point for me, like in my mentality as I approach life. But I think turning points for success is a loaded question, because once you taste a bit of success, however you define it, helping others, making money, buying a house, whatever, it's like more. You always want more of it. And it's not necessarily financial,
Man, that was beautiful, Ari.
Yeah.
I'm about to shed a tear, man.
Trey, let me say something real fast before you jump in. He's
Okay.
right. Daniel rephrased the question the right way. So I'll say 2 things. One is a little funny, but I realized that I could always get more, always want more, once I seen how much Ari had. they flashed Ari's account on me one day, and I was like, I ain't eating right.
Yo, you're gonna get me robbed. Like all this fun and games is gonna get me robbed.
Okay? The second part of that was to Daniel's point. It's the relationships.
Yeah.
I realized that I had to,
That was Ari's point.
To turn the corner when I looked up and realized who I was in the room with.
Hey, that's good.
Like holy shit! Like Sharifa does what, and Dre does what, and Daniel does what. And not just in the room with them. When I'm in the room with them, I'm also in the room with all the rest of the relationships, because the 6 degrees of separation, you could always get in a room with the next guy. And when these people, when you have a network of people who are really invested in what you do and why, they're willing to put it on the line for you. So for me, honestly, it's crazy that it sounds so sentimental when I heard Ari say it, but it's truly the unlock. Once you surround yourself by the right people and you get in the right networks, then that starts to unlock opportunities. And it gives us the ability to start realizing we can do anything, if that makes sense. And and I think that's what fuels the confidence.
Yep.
No, that's good.
Well, I would say this, listening to what Ari and James just said, and with me knowing both of them so well, the self-reflection, hearing what y'all just said, really me knowing y'all, those are real turning points, right? And especially how you specifically address those two things. I would say, like, when you talk about the journey, and it's like we all come to forks in the road, and we make a left turn, we make a right turn. And I remember Daniel saying, you're looking in the rear view mirror for the turning point. But I honestly think if we all sit down and really reflect, there is a turning point. And I could say for myself, and it's interesting because I have 3 other business partners, and we've been on this journey together. One of my business partners, Antoine, we've been on this journey together since we were teenagers. So the turning point for me, and you know, we always crack jokes because, you know, I got a nickname in the office. I'm the goal pusher. I'm the goalpost pusher because I'm always pushing it back further and further. But the real turning point for me, for us, has been over the course of these last 3 years, because we started off as a sales and consulting agency where we repped and consulted for other people's brands. Then we started acting as faux distributors and representing brands from overseas and setting up their logistics and their infrastructure. What really turned for us is when we became owners of the brands that we represent. So we own, license, and distribute brands. And to me, that was the big turning point for us in our business and the infrastructure that we've built, because I feel like it's like Biker Boys. Like when Smoke was riding and he had tunnel vision. That
you sounding real old right now, bro.
Yo, man, I'm sounding real old.
Shout out Megan Good, though. Shout out Megan Good.
I'm telling you, that's how I feel right now when it comes to this business. You know, no lack of confidence, but that's how I feel. It's like when we look at like Jordan playing ball and LeBron playing ball, and you look at them and you see that they got the game figured out. I feel like this is when we really figured out the game. So like when I'm looking at what's going on now, and I'm looking at pandemic and coronavirus and the landscape, and I know that we know how to do this. And there's greatness that's already occurred, but only greatness is happening from here. Like, you see so clear. And to me, that was the moment. And you know, I talk to my partners all the time, and and that'll be a whole nother side conversation, but maybe they see the same thing. But the way that we're looking at the game now, and the way that I look at it and see it, I know that that's the turning point. I know now that we turn that corner, it's over. It's a wrap. We like take over time. And I thought we was taking over before, but nah, we really taking over.
That's good.
Yeah, I'm
No
definitely
lack of confidence over there in that box.
For that one, Dre.
Daniel, did Eric and Daniel, did you share? And then Sharifa, don't forget, I need you to answer stepping into that turning point, because a thing can go around, but if you don't step into it and you don't go with it, I feel like you can miss it. But I would love to hear from Eric and Daniel as well.
Sure,
I'll go first. I mean, Dre's obviously, we're 4 partners. Our turning points are going to be similar, and Dre's makes a lot of sense. But if I'm going to look back at my whole career, 20 plus years, I'd say starting our company was a pretty big turning point. You know, we each individually worked for other companies, other people for over 10 years. The common thread with all of us was we were sick of working for other people because we saw the mistakes coming, and we collectively all agreed that it was time to make our own mistakes. Not that we knew everything, but it was time to make our own mistakes. And starting our own business was kind of that next step. And if I'm going to look back on anything and just have a feeling of accomplishment, was probably getting through that first year, because it was not an easy year, and we've had a few rough ones since then. But you know, making it for the first year, paying the rent for 12 months in a row, having a handful of employees was probably the turning point, and making a ton of mistakes and continue to do so. But getting better and never making the same one twice. But, you know, I'd say setting off on our own, or at least for me, was the turning point.
I totally thought you were going to say getting your green card. But
which by the way, Ari knew the U.S. president to get it. You know, that's funny.
Hey, yo, we need to hear from bruh right now, because this is beautiful. This is foundation back to back to back. What's bruh say?
Yeah. Please.
Well, look, this is what bruh says, and I'm only gonna.
It really pops up on the screen, bruh.
I'm only going to repeat a lot of what my partners have already said, but for me, the turning point was them all collectively realizing that I was the man.
It took like 10 years.
Definitely heard your name mentioned a lot.
So I'll pass it to Sharifa now.
Okay, Sharifa, please dial in with this with me, and we'll probably download a little later. But part of a turning point is a decisive change, right? And I feel like there's some things and doors that are opening, or just different paths. And how did you step into what you saw was coming? Even though you said, you know what, I don't want to do corporate in this way with the business.
Yeah.
And so you knew that, but then how was that stepping into that? Because that's terrifying.
It's a scary thing, but I'm gonna go back now to the guys on here, because I remember telling them I was leaving corporate to do another show, and they was like, well, we leaving too. And that's what pushed me. And no, once, I think it was Ari or Dre or someone of you guys I spoke to.
It was me. Stop it.
It was you? No.
I don't know.
But,
I don't know what you're about to say.
Daniel was in the office. You just didn't know.
I know. But I'm Ari or Dre, to be honest with you. And I told them that I was leaving that show that I was doing prior. And they was like, well, we ain't going to go either. And honestly, that kind of put the battery in my back. And it made me, once I started getting everybody on board and people said, you know, we don't need to do this, we're going with you, it kind of gave me that confidence that I needed. And then once I did that, you couldn't stop me. And it's like Ari and those guys said, you go from one thing, you go from one challenge to another. So I started Liberty, it took off, it did what it did. And then I wanted to start another company. And I was like, if I could do this, I could do that. I think you have to recognize something. Once you work for
Talk about the company you started.
I am. Okay, I'm sorry. So I started a festival for young women and men to empower them to make these changes in their life. Here goes the situation. As what you have to.
What's it called?
It's called Envision.
Envision Fest.
There you go. She knows.
Oh, I know.
I'm not worried about her. I'm worried about the rest of the people.
Thank you. But I think this is the bottom line. Once you realize that you're working for someone and you know that you want to make those changes, the harder you work for that person, it's the same strength that you need to work for whatever it is you're about to change into. And I think that that's what we have to always remember. You don't put that energy, you know, you're going to work every day, you loving your job, and then you want to pivot, but you can't be scared to pivot. You know how they always say closed mouths never get fed? You can't be scared. You got to just keep going with it and really understand, but you got to have a plan. I'm a big planner. I go from one extreme to the next. And it's like Ari and those guys say, you want to start leveling up, and nothing is ever going to be good because you're going to want to do more and more and more. You understand where I'm coming from?
Completely.
So
thank you.
No problem.
Thanks for answering the long questions, everyone. And
No
thanks
problem.
again. I'll say it again. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for the.
Yeah, don't forget Eric Wise.
I want to hear Eric.
Oh no, Eric! You didn't. Oh, please.
And Pell. We didn't hear Pell either. Let's hear Eric and Pell.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And Pell's wearing that hat
I was just saying, I know Pell's answer. I want to hear Eric's answer.
Well, Pell used to be in Chippendale, so.
Pell's turning point was like last year when he came to work with us.
Exactly. Oh my God! Exactly.
Hey, yo, wait. Yo, y'all, let Eric rock. Let Eric rock.
Close my door for me.
I'll give you. I mean, I echo what everybody's saying on the professional side. I'll give you something that's more personal for me. That's how.
Ooh, yes.
Was, you know, all the ups and downs throughout my career. You know, good, bad, success, failure. You know, all that time I was always looking at other people and like, I should be here. I'm pissed off this person has that. Why ain't I getting this opportunity? Why ain't I getting this? I'm better than this person. I know I belong. And it wasn't until I came to Portland where I just said, you know what? I'm just going to worry about myself. I ain't worried about nothing else. The blinders are on and be the best version of me. I always knew I belonged where I'm at now. And then once I actually focused on myself and not worry about anybody else, and just grinded way more and wanted it more, and it means more to me, everything took off from there. Because last 15 years, it was always why this, why that, and just worry about everything else outside. When I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to worry about me and doing the best, you know.
Eric, how'd you do that? Because that's hard. It's hard to not compare, right?
It is. It's really hard, Ari. It's a great point. I think, you know, having a family grounded me, and just always looking like, you know, I'm blessed, and always when things get tough and you're kind of looking around, it's like, I'm blessed to have the job that I have, the family that I have, and just kind of stay grounded with that and keep going, you know. And then to Ari's point, like, your goals change, right? In the beginning, it's always money. I need more money. But now for me personally, it's like, how can I be a beacon for other people coming up, like this platform? How can you help? You know, for me, it's all about helping now. So it's different. You know, to me, it was much more personal. The professional stuff came really exploded for me once I got my own personal shit together. Then I could go.
And you have 4 kids now?
Very, very well said, brother.
Yeah, I'm right, man. Hell yeah, Eric.
Thank you. Thanks for the personal touch with it.
If you knew about coronavirus, would you still have had 4 kids?
I'll tell you
Bill, can you share as well?
Yeah. So it's kind of a little bit of what everybody said, but I think for me, very important is being metacognitive. Just
hold on, Pat. What does that mean?
Just being self-aware. All right. Being self-aware. I think that and just realizing I'm dope. I'm dope in what I do. And that's why, you know, the dudes at the foundation looked at me and it was like, yeah, we don't know. These are my friends first. They're like family to me. These guys have done things for me that my own family haven't done for me. And they've always been there for me. Like, I've known Dre and Hutch when they were on the other side of the business, you know, but all of these dudes are like family to me. And just knowing that I'm dope and showing up with my dopeness. Like, yeah, sometimes it's hard being a creative because you're constantly, let me not say for myself, second guessing, wondering, am I keeping up? You know what I'm saying? What's my skill set like? You know, you constantly question, like, I'm oil painting right now. Never thought that I could paint the way that I am, right? I just love to create, but you never know if you're creating at the level of where you're going to be accepted for what you're doing. But like me and Hutch were talking, and you know, I'm going to just be very transparent. You know, he was like, yo, I wasn't sure about where he was with the bodies that you're doing. And he's like, yo, you haven't lost a step, because I was doing art. Like, I left this alone and I came back into that position, but it's showing up. I love what I do. I love creating, but also you got to understand, you got to know that you dope.
Yes, right.
Because when you dope, you know that you dope, you're going to barrel through like all of these dudes up here, Sharifa included. Everybody knows that they're dope and they show up with their dopeness. And if you don't realize, like my man who's from Baltimore, he got his brand on his back.
100%.
So it's just like having that was my turning point, is just looking at what I create and being like, yo, I don't know who's fucking with me, straight up. That's it.
100%.
Good one, Phil.
That was good.
I was gonna say the hat, but shit.
Shalom.
Man, better run through a wall. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Awesome.
Man, that was an amazing question.
It was a really good question.
That comes from listening. Hey, that comes from listening to most of the podcasts so far.
Nah, come on.
And I wanted to ask that question after kind of researching you all. I'm like, man, what was there? So the young lady that asked it earlier, I was like, oh, everyone shares. So I'm on, y'all. Thank you.
Thank you, Chantel.
You're welcome.
Dave, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard to top that question. Who we got up next?
Wow, that's a hard.
It's real. It is, but you know, we just go back to putting the pressure on Sharifa. Danielle got a question for Sharifa.
She getting all the smoke.
So we're gonna bring up Danielle. She's gonna ask Sharifa a question. But no, I knew Chantel would help us like level out and help us, you know, get everybody a chance to get loose real quick for a second. But go ahead, Danielle.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here.
Hello.
Sharifa, sorry. I wanted to ask you, can you talk about your personal organization system / your like creative management process when it comes to managing multiple brands? I know you have the Brooklyn Intern and Vision Festival, as well as Liberty Fairs. And so just that process, I know in the first pregame, James talked about having a notebook and how he, like every morning he has a list of like his top 20 things, and then he goes over that at night to kind of like recheck and just add on things that he needs to add on to. And so just a little bit about me. I'm currently in education and I'm working on my clothing brand, Clean Slate Clothing. And just like being in education and knowing I have a passion for young people and helping to pour into our students and just help them realize their greatness, but also having such a big, like, just fashion's ingrained in me, like with my mother and my grandmother being seamstress, and just like being able to do New York Fashion Week with the CFDA, as well as being able to attend Paris Fashion Week, doing like some styling for bands like Walk the Moon, and just like when you're working in like another corporate industry, but you also have this passion for fashion.
Yeah.
How, like, you know, how are, like, you're doing it, like you're able to just like have multiple brands, and just like I would like to know just some of your creative process in that.
So I'm gonna start with, I'm kind of like James, I'm very old school. I have a notebook and I write lists. So I write Envision, I write Liberty, I write everything that I need to do in order. I ain't gonna lie, and I'm not gonna front, I can't do anything without my assistant, Lucia. She helps a lot. She like organizes everything, and she makes sure that I'm not, because I'm the person, I'm gonna say yes to everything. And then she kind of cuts that down and says no. So like, you also have to understand how much what kind of bandwidth you have, right? Like, you have your full-time job within the education system, but then you also have your side project that you're working on to build your own business. I think it's about understanding you have your 9 to 5, and then you have your 5 to 10, right? You also need to sleep. But there needs to be some sort of system where you also have to take care of yourself, right? Because you can't do any of it without taking care of yourself personally. I am a notebook person. I am a list person. And if I don't get through the list, I don't ever get upset with myself. I just figure it out for the next day. I do put the most important things, of course, at the top that I need to handle right away. But I also have help. And I would say to you, like, if you get like an intern, everyone's always looking to learn from someone. There's somebody looking to learn from you within the education system. There's someone also maybe coming up with you that want to be a designer. Maybe you guys can work together. Those are the type of things that we do. I have tons of interns, and I also have an assistant that helps me daily. Otherwise, I wouldn't honestly be able to function. It's like, it's ongoing all day long. All day long, I'm on the phone. All day long, nowadays we're on Zooms all day. You know, you have to be able to balance out yourself, otherwise you're not going to make it. But for the most part, I'm very strategic about my list. I am very old school. I don't know if you use notebooks or if you use your iPhone. I need to see things fully laid out. Like, I want to see fully and drawn out. And then I'm also very particular about how I get things from people that have to send me things. So I'm very visual. So I always ask for like pictures and different things that I need. If I'm looking at a clothing brand, I want everything. And I have like an auto reply where you ask for certain things in the way that you want it. That way you're not going back and forth with the person. So I would say be very thorough about what you want at the time, and make sure that you're asking and your requests are for everything that you need. So you're not wasting time. Find shortcuts to not waste your time and not to waste other people's time as well. You know?
Good. Yes, that helped a lot. I am definitely old school as well. Love keeping notebooks, as well as being able to keep a digital track on my phone. you know, that definitely helps out a lot. And so I appreciate it. Thank you.
Also break up your day into like certain segments. Like if you know you're going to be doing your educational thing from 9 to 5, but if you have 2 or 3 other things that you're working on, like give it an hour and understand that you have to stop. You know, you can't just kind of, because it starts to all mesh into one. And I would say give yourself a break. Make Sunday your day that you don't do anything, or make Saturday your day that you don't do anything, so you can reboot and do what you need to do.
Very good. Thank you.
No, thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you for investing the time.
Seriously.
Thank you. And may I have one more question? It's actually, this one's for James.
Go for
James,
it.
I know, I think it was Lewis, he kind of asked about real estate earlier. And so I wanted to go just a little bit deeper and ask, can you talk about your journey of like leveraging your experience in real estate to get the financial backing for entrepreneurship?
That is a good damn question. The best part about real estate, I always say, is like an egg, because you could do so many different things with it, right? So coming up in the city I came up in, you could buy property really cheap, right? So I think I bought one of my first properties for under 10 grand. I think it was $9,100. And that property appraised, I think, at like close to $90,000, right? So the first thing you can do is leverage the equity out of properties to then go invest into as startup capital for your business. That's one way, right? The other part was in learning to remodel those houses. Like me, I'm a hands-on person, and I got to understand. I like to understand the process of things before I delegate it to others, so I can understand how they're going about making sure what we need to get done gets done, right? So in learning how to remodel places and understanding how to design this and do this and the process of that, when it came time to start building out retail stores, I already had like an up on how I could reimagine space and look at space. And then another way I start looking at it was all brick and mortar needs to be in a physical space, right? So becoming the owner of the spaces that we do retail in, right? It gives you an opportunity to buy the space, lease it back to the business, and you can then turn that property 3 or 4 different times, and the equity that goes along with it. So for me personally, that being in real estate has been and still is a huge motivating factor in what keeps me excited about redeveloping things, developing new things, pushing the ideas of what we could do with real estate. If I wasn't doing this, I think, or when I slow down in retail, I love the idea of kind of developing my own town or city, because you can kind of reimagine how people live together and how the space informs how that happens. I could go on and on about this every day. Please, Danielle, please hit me up. You're on a platform. Feel free to hit me up. I'll make time to go back and forth with you as long as you want to on this, because you're talking about the 2 things that I'm most passionate about, retail and real estate. And you throw entrepreneurship in that, and I can go for the rest of the night.
Wonderful. Yes, I'm definitely, I'll reach out to you as well as you, Sharif, as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cool. The next question is going to come from Isaac Aboa. Has a really interesting question about humility. I think this would be dope.
Oh, hey, how's everybody doing?
How you doing?
Isaac, how you doing, man?
How's it going, man?
Appreciate it. Man, I'm doing well. Thanks. Glad to be a part of the platform. So I just wanted to ask if anybody would like to talk about a time where they had to take 10 steps backwards in order to take one giant step forward, or in order to like transition into where exactly they are today, modern day. Because a lot of times you will experience like failures, and sometimes you don't have that mentality to say like, oh, well, it's not a failure. It's more so this is a lesson and so I need to learn from it. But people kind of get stuck, or they kind of just give up and they settle. So I just
I'll go quickly, bro, and then let everybody else jump in because this is one everybody's gonna have something to say about, I'm sure. Man, I believe in failing fast and not being scared. Obviously, that takes a lot of experience, but I feel like I take every day. The first thing you always got to do is take a couple steps back so you can look forward, if that makes sense. If I always say, and this is just something I believe, if you're reading your own clippings or you're too close to it, you're going to eventually fall out. You won't be there. You won't be there much longer. So for me personally, I always try to take a step back every day and humble myself and look at it from the eyes of the rest of the world and figure out how I can get better through the world's lens as well as my own, if that makes sense. Obviously, I'm the leader of our organization, so I drive the car. So it's important for me to try to see it from all places, if that makes sense. And failing fast and having the confidence to fail fast is the only way to win.
Okay.
I'll let somebody else jump in because I'm sure everybody else is going to have something to say on this one.
I was about to say, for me personally, like, I don't necessarily see this as like what I did as like a failure, but it was more of a strategic move that just took a bit to see the benefit from, but I knew I would actually ultimately see a benefit from it. But when I left corporate America, so I came out of college in 2013 and worked at Coca-Cola for a year and a half doing supply chain work. I realized that like that wasn't, the path that I wanted to stay on, and was doing photography and things like that on the side. But I left that corporate job where I came out of school making $53,000 a year in Charlotte, which is like more than enough to be livable. Had bought a Beamer, all these different types of things. And, I started working at Zoomies for $785 so that I could pivot into the industry that I wanted to be in. And, that's, to a lot of people, perceivably, that's a large step back. And it took a lot of family support from, friends and family and all of that. But it was something I knew needed to happen so that I could be adjacent to the industry I wanted to be in. And it wasn't until maybe I think it might've been like 2 years later that I actually landed when I went to have my first run with the Whitaker group on the e-commerce side. So, for me, that was a whole complete change in lifestyle, obviously, like, selling things, getting rid of stuff, getting rid of a lot of material stuff, and really having people look at you crazy. People in your life, you going to church or you going to wherever you hang out at, people like, oh, what happened or what's going on? Like, but people not understanding and seeing the vision. So for me, it was making that pivot. But I knew I was, 23, 24 years old, and I knew what my gut was telling me, and I knew what I needed to do to get close to the industry I wanted to be in, and it was the best decision I ever made. And that's why I'm sitting, being able to help facilitate and be a part of this platform was because I made that decision to like forego everything in the short term, monetarily, and create space for myself to learn and to grow, because I needed that experience. Being in the mall and retail, it helped round me out. A lot of experiences I didn't necessarily get from school, like just dealing with people and learning from different people that had lived a completely different lifestyle than me. And being in the mall, you interact with so many different people and you have to sell to so many different people at such a quick pace, just based on the scale, that it was just the experience that I needed. So in those years, I did what I could to try and like climb the ladder of retail, and had an assistant manager job at Lids before I ultimately became an e-commerce photographer at the Whitaker Group. But that's probably the biggest leap, and the largest gap that I've taken is literally, corporate dude coming out of school, making whatever, being a young professional, going back to the bottom, quote unquote, and just getting it out the mud to get the experience that I needed and be close to what I wanted to be close to and what I was passionate about.
Brother, preach.
For me, one of the biggest things is probably a conversation that I had with James, where he just pulled me to the side and he was like, got to get your shit together, straight up, and being very transparent on the platform, like him, Hutch, Dre, like just from the outside looking in and being in a place of, at that time, like hardship, personal hardship, and wanting to do some things and just not focusing. It was like, yo, you're dope, but you ain't showing up. And that's starting to be what you're being known for, is not showing up, right? And you don't want to be known for that. So it's like, how do you sway back? And you got to show up. You got to show up. You got to do the work. You got to focus. You may have to pull back and let go of some things so you can focus. And I mean, that was probably the greatest incentive that I had as far as like conversation, and that was probably one of the best pieces of free game that I got.
Okay. Um, did anybody else have any input or?
Yeah, I can jump in. And I touched on this at the beginning a little bit. Like I got a couple different kind of taking a bunch of steps back. So, you know, coming from where I'm from Reading, PA, outside of Philly. You know, we came from nothing. You know, I'm a statistic, single family. So all I knew is I didn't want to have any regrets in life. So I played ball. I went to college. I did some arena stuff. I was like, all right, you know, this isn't going to work. I'm not getting to the league. So let's, you know, lean on my degree. So I packed everything up, went to Boston, did that, super broke. And I was like, I need another change. I went home, kind of to Dave's point, you got to humble yourself. People are like, yo, what's going on? I thought you were going to the league. You know, you got this degree, super broke, went into retail, worked in the warehouse, worked my way up to GMM in Villa. And then I was like, I still love sports. Let me start my own sports training business. Again, took another step back, super broke, you know, build a brand from the beginning, you know, with my wife and family. You know, we had multiple kids. And again, back to what I was saying before, at a different point in my life, I was like, I need some more stability. So went back into retail, but still had some time in between there where I had be humbled again. Again, no money, 3 kids, you got to figure it out. Went into retail, and I always knew I wanted to get on the brand side. So I had to get back into retail to get to that point. And then, you know, again, took another chance, moved my family all the way across the country to where I'm at now. But again, it's the best decision of my life. But there's always points along that journey that you're going to have to be humbled. And I think that shapes you as you go forward. So as you speak to people, as you present yourself, as you work, you're always humbled in that, knowing from where you came from and to all the things you've been through in that journey. That really just shapes who you are at the end.
Life is the gym. This is the gym.
Yep.
If you don't have any type of resistance, you ain't gonna grow.
And it's never a mistake to take a step backwards as long as the intention is to take 2 steps forward.
Yep.
And even if you don't get to take the 2 steps forward, as long as the intention was to take the 2 steps forward, it's fine to go backwards.
Also, don't know anyone that's ever like taken a big swing or started something new or gone out on their own that like hit the ground running. Like most people, like they left something sweeter. They thought this would happen in this amount of time, and they ended up 10 steps down to maybe get back to where they were to reach the success. So I feel like anyone that started something falls, at least financially, and like a work-life balance, you know, working for someone else and doing your own thing, completely different. So I think anyone that's done that has had to make adjustments, you know, got their ego in check, felt okay about their wallet to chase a dream.
Yeah, I think one of the most eye-opening conversations I ever had was actually with Sharifa's partner. I was in his office with him alone, and we were just joking around, and I'm like, you got to tell me the next thing you're getting into, because everything you touch turns to gold. You do this, you do that, you do this, and everything is amazing. And he just looked at me. He's like, Daniel, you don't know about all the stuff that I touch that goes to shit. You don't know about everything I lose on, because who wants to talk about that? So, you know, there's plenty of that. And, you know, not everyone you see, you know, on the cover of the magazine has gotten there just a smooth ride. There's so many bumps.
Oh man.
All right.
I knew this question would get us to a lot of places, bro. Did you feel like that got you answered?
Yeah, because it's a lot of relatable things everyone said that I was like, oh, okay, I can see myself because I was there. Like with the education aspect of it, like I had my bachelor's degree, things didn't work out, so I was like, all right, well, let me just figure out how do I get into a different industry. From being a former athlete, he had hoop dreams. I wanted to play football, and I was like, oh, I'm right there, but then not being able to communicate per se. Naturally, I'm an introverted person, and everybody has a background, everybody has a story, and mine is one of those, you know, didn't grow up with a silver spoon. And so, you know, I experienced the quote unquote typical narrative of a young Black male. And that being said, created that whole antisocial behavior where it's like, if you don't know me, I don't know you, there's no reason for me to speak, you know. Being able to like walk into a room and just say hello or to make eye contact with everyone, that's something I've been learning over the past couple of years because it's just one of those, that's the norm, but that wasn't my personal norm. So I understand, like in the creative industry, a part of it is being social, being able to make people feel comfortable, being able to, like you said, build those organic relationships, even if the relationship is one-sided or like each side doesn't benefit from it. Like you still need to develop that and have that because you never know when you can be an asset to somebody or somebody will be an asset to you in your time of need, so on and so forth. And so for me, in my background, and then transitioning into like a young professional, having to recognize like, wait a second, everything that I'm used to and comfortable with, that's not the norm, or that's not society's, you know, what society would say like, oh, this makes you a qualified candidate. This makes you a good person to do business with and work with, so on and so forth. So that kind of leads me to my other question I had put in before was like, how would I be able to pitch to individuals? Because I have a lot of friends, a lot of contemporaries who do creative stuff, but they don't have that success that they're hoping for, reaching for. And I sit back, I'm an idea guy, and I say like, well, if you meet with this person, or if you worked with that person, or if y'all talked and came up with something together, you know, y'all could collectively be great. And then, you know, splinter off into your own individual endeavors and pursuits. But it's just like, because I'm introverted or because I'm kind of hesitant, because I'm just like, you know, I keep to myself and I stay on the sideline. So I can see and observe and pinpoint certain dots, and I can connect all the dots, but I necessarily don't know how to verbalize it, or just don't know how to communicate it in a manner to where it persuades someone to say like, you know what? Yeah, okay, cool. That's a good idea. I'm going to act on it. Or, you know what? Hey, let me bring you in to have you consult and let me get your input. Let me get more of your input, so on and so forth. So if you had any advice on how to, I guess, break the ice, I guess, for a social introvert. That's how I like to label myself. Like I'm a social introvert.
Fellas, ladies.
I mean, I think you just did it. You asked the question. I mean,
Getting out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Doing it right now.
Bro, to get up here and talk in front of a couple hundred or 100 people on a screen is no different than you had to maintain eye contact. You had to think about what you wanted to ask. You had to keep your poise, and your question was, and everything you said was formatted so we all understood it, and it was very clear. So you just took the step.
Yeah.
Just stay uncomfortable, man.
Yeah.
Keep making yourself uncomfortable, and eventually you'll be comfortable.
And
hey, how do you like this event? What you here for? What do you think of this? Blah blah blah. I mean, get somebody else talking. That's it. And crack a joke or two, even if they're corny.
And the other part about it is we're all always uncomfortable. It's just once the light comes on, we forget that we're uncomfortable. But coming into it, we're all thinking about it one way or another. Like you put some thought, and there's some discomfort for all of us every moment. But that's what I think makes all of us uniquely ourselves. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that, it makes total sense. Like, you know, yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay.
No doubt, man.
So guys, we just passed the 9 o'clock hour, so I like to be sensitive of everybody's time. So we're gonna take about, I think, Dave. How many more are we gonna take, Dave?
I mean, we can go ahead and take 5. I think we probably got close to 10 in here, so we'll do about half of them just out of respect for the time. But like, this audience has been amazing. Everybody's been great. It's been some really dope questions in here. I hate that we won't be able to get to them all just because of, you know, time constraints and all of that. But it's y'all have been fired. Please come back in 2 weeks. You know, we get this same audience again. You know what I mean? It'll be we'll be set. This pregame will keep being what it's supposed to be, man. Y'all are all here for the right reasons, and this is dope. So we appreciate y'all for coming out. We're gonna pull somebody else's plan for the home team on this one. Bring up Tara. I think she's got a really good, interesting one. For Jay.
Or is it Tara? Our Tara?
Yes, our Tara.
Tara, Mrs. Faye.
PH.
Hi.
What's up, Tara?
Hi.
So I have to preface my question with a story. I've worked with James and worked at the Pittsburgh store, downtown Pittsburgh, for many years. And I was pregnant with my second child and managing a store. And I think I had set a precedent for being like the first employee of childbearing age to like have to go on maternity leave. Yes. And not only was James supportive in every capacity, he had a whole plan in terms of the company working around me during my absence, and probably gave me some of the best advice I ever received as far as like what my return would look like. You know, he's a father, and he's like, listen, you think it's gonna be easy, but having 2 kids is gonna be a lot, and you're not gonna be in a rush to come back. And my whole leave, I was just like, wow, James was right. He knew. So it was a really beautiful experience. I felt very supported. You know, my return was really great. So I have to ask, like, with regard to, you know, how women need to be supported in this industry, in your journey, when did you have this realization in terms of what you needed to do, you know, having a company to support women and to empower women? Did you see there was like a void or a need, or is it just something, you know, instinctively that's a part of your value system? You know, is that just how you move?
That's a good ass question.
Who's the question for?
That's for Sharifa.
That's for me.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's a couple of things. Yes, it's a part of my value system, but I think it became a part of my value system coming throughout the industry. When I was in the industry, I worked with a bunch of dudes, and there was never a female to kind of take my hand and say, hey, let me help you. And I realized that. And I realized the one person that did show me a way was my business partner. And I always vowed that I'm not going to be that. I want to show young women that we should be helping each other, and we need to start supporting each other in a better way. I remember going to many of events, and there were other women there, and they won't even speak to you. So I didn't like that. I don't compete. There's no reason for us to compete. I always want to uplift.
Because you'll lose.
Help. No, I don't compete. I want to make sure that women are valued and we all know how to work together. And that was a big thing for me. So it's a part of my value system. I don't do things just to do it. I do things that's going to enhance and benefit anything or anybody that I'm around.
Have you seen working with men that their values align with yours in that capacity? Or did you have a lot of teaching moments where you had to kind of like stress the importance, like, well, we need women in leadership, we need women doing this, we need women doing that?
No, I think working with a lot of guys was really interesting for me because they have a lot of respect for women. I do see that we do need more women in the industry that we are in, but just being around guys it's much easier because there's no judging. There's none of the things that come along with working with other women, or that used to be with working with other women. That's why I think for me, teaching other young girls that's coming up, we have to work together. It's very, very important. Like, we can't do this on our own. We have to come up together. You know, I think working around guys has taught me that that's what I want to see for women. Because you see guys, they come together. They, you know, James Bull, these guys on the panel together, right? How often now you're seeing it, everyone's like, yeah, let's work together. But sometimes it's not in all love. And I want to see love and support from women. And I definitely, there's so much space. There's so much space for more women to come up and do great things. So, you know.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. Did I answer everything you needed, or?
No, yeah, it was good.
Okay. Okay.
And in the honor of James, does that make sense?
He made it till 8:03 or 9:06.
Thank you for kissing James' ass at the beginning.
the longest he's gone an entire free game. That makes sense.
Man, listen, Daniel. So I'm great to my team. Learn something from that. Thank you, Kara.
All right.
Thank you.
No surprise. No surprise, James.
Next question is gonna come from Dexter M. Dexter still in here.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you, Mister.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good.
First, just thank you all again for the wonderful opportunity and event that you're putting on. I know, as everybody was saying, we greatly appreciate it. My question was more about, I guess, how the journey is different now. So I had a question a couple free games ago. I missed it, sent James a DM. He got back with me extra fast. I was like crazy stoked. I didn't expect it, but and due to some of the information he gave me, I've had some conversations. So I'm excited on what could come with some opening up of the world. But I guess with that is kind of my question. Do you all see the journeys changing now with whatever our new normal is going to be? Similar to one of the guys a couple seconds ago was asking about open up socially in certain events. How do we see the journey being different for people if there aren't a lot of social events, if there's not a lot of face-to-face interaction, if a lot of people are growing and making this journey virtually?
I think there's going to change a lot. I think that, local is the new global. I think that you got to earn people's money. You got to earn their time. You have to show them that you actually want them in your space. It's not going to be about, cool guy antics of you come into my space and it's just transactional and you should be happy that I opened the door for you. It's going to be more about me giving you an experience, becoming experiential. So I think that the world is already way smaller just because of this right here.
Yeah.
And everybody's feeling the effects of this, but there are people who are making a lot of money because of this, right? E-commerce, being on these platforms, being here. Like this happened because of where we're at right now. And right now, I know Zoom is probably trying to figure a way how to monetize on this more. So is Instagram Live. It's like using these platforms and reaching as many people as you can and tell them your personal stories. I think that's what it's going to be for all commerce across the board.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, like obviously I'm responsible for, making sure that we have interaction going on in all our cities. And that's one of the things that we're honestly just working through right now, bro. Like, how do we create more opportunities like this? And how do we keep and make sure that it's organic and that we're working with the right folks and giving them the tools to be successful in this space? I think it definitely is going to change. I think, for us, we're used to bringing 200 people and putting them into a space and letting them talk together, having people perform, having people ask questions and all of that. So we're figuring out how do we give a similar experience to that, and how do we make that experience still available to people and still have some of the intimacy, right? And still have some of the like finer components. I think like a lot of, we were doing, I think between both of the spaces, between Atlanta and Charlotte, we were doing about 15 events a month in both spaces. And some of those are scaled up to the point where, again, we're having 200 people all the way down to where we're having a mental health workshop with just 5 people. And those 5 people are having very intimate, deep conversation, right? And, how do you warm people up to having that same type of experience through a screen is something that we're just gonna be throwing stuff to the wall and seeing what sticks, man. Like, I think ultimately we're gonna create it, right? Like that's what the human experience is. It's about us evolving and changing and going through things and something new is gonna come out of it. So I ultimately, bro, it's this opportunity for us for people's journeys to change is going to be, whatever we create it to be and whatever space we allow for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a time to push technology forward. It's a time to maybe even get back to some of the analog things. I think a lot of times for me, and this is kind of more the artist side of me, when everything's going in one direction, I tend to push against the current. So like in this space where we're already distant, like what does it look like to kind of like dig into that and lean into that a little bit more? And like, what happens when you send somebody a letter, like a really personal handwritten letter in a time where everybody's trying to recreate our in-person interaction? Like there's a tactile portion of like, one of the things I've been doing lately is with my creative agency outside of work is like, I don't want to have a Zoom meeting. We're going to have a regular phone conference call. You know what I'm saying? So everybody can still have a little bit of that like privacy of being able to do, like we were having conference calls before. Why are we pushing just to be in person right now? So that's what I say, man. This opportunity is going to be what we make it. And it's an opportunity for us to kind of play around with some different models and see what works and see how people react to it and get feedback. And that's one thing that, you know, James always says in the office is like, we just need an action. Like if everybody's kind of talking and strategizing, okay, cool. Well, what's the action? Because if you get an action, you'll get a reaction and you can start to, you know, formulate from there. But until you make that first action and we start to shape what this new world looks like, we won't know. We'll be speculating. You know what I mean? So it'll be what we make it.
Very well said, Dave. And the thing I'll echo is to Pal's point, local's the new global. And how do you create intimate, in-person interactions, but scale that intimacy digitally? That's the unlock that I'm seeing. That's the opportunity that I'm seeing.
Yeah, and I would build too off of what Pal was saying too about relationships, right? And Dave mentioned it. Just can you do it more, you know, intimately, even not, you know, on Zoom or just having a phone call? I can tell you, like we're having calls as a global brand with people in cities now, just kids. What's going on? Not necessarily just to, you know, hear what they feel about product, but to build relationships. How are they feeling during all this? What's really working for them? Are they okay? How can we help? Like that, those relationships like we're building now are going to be huge going forward, not just with them, but I can even speak for our team. Our team now being kind of away from the office is closer than it's ever been because you're forced into like communicating even more because we can't just walk by each other's desk and just talk. So it's like the communication's big. So these relationships like are going to be huge. And even for the consumer, if the dollars are tight, they're going to be very choosy on where they spend their money. So it's like if I'm a consumer and there's a brand that I don't have a relationship with, why would I spend the little bit of money that I have with them? So those relationships brands build and we build are going to be huge going forward. To me, that's kind of the new normal.
Very well said. Did we hit on all the places that you wanted to go to in your question?
Yeah, sorry, I muted myself. My little girl was talking. But no, definitely. I appreciate all those answers. And it's kind of what I was thinking, especially along the line with what Dave was saying, just getting back to just the phone call sometimes. Because that person may let that guard down a little bit if they don't feel like they're having that staring at the screen. So yeah, very helpful. I appreciate it. I appreciate the answers. I appreciate this entire thing. Thank you all.
No, thank you for investing your time, brother. We appreciate you.
Yeah, the point Eric made about just like checking in on people is leading me to want to ask this next question. I think this is 4 out of 5 before we close. So let's bring up Adi for her question.
Odyssey was good.
Hi. What's up? So I had a different type of question for y'all. I've worked with all of y'all before, so I think I picked your brain about like your professional success. But my question is, I feel like mental health is just as important as the pursuit of professional success.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask each and every single one of you guys, over the years, what have you learned to kind of like help you to maintain that mental health? You know, all of us are from different breeds, from different places. We all look different. So what are those type of things that you guys have learned that have pretty much just like changed the trajectory of like how you handle yourself, how you value who you are and what you've been through, and how do you use that?
I'll jump in there first. For me, the first thing I've do is I've learned how to Odyssey, and I think you've seen me do this before. I've learned when to step away and just kind of take a second just to breathe. I think the medical definition for that would be meditating, just taking a second to step away, catch your breath, get out of your head, and kind of like catch your rhythm. This not the chaos of what you were just going to. The other part of it is being intentional about knowing when things are too heavy and when you just need to sit down and talk to a therapist. I think people think the idea of seeing a therapist is taboo, and it's not at all. Because if not, what you're going to do is just if not, you're going to take that negative energy and project it on someone else, right? So it for me, it's those two things, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think when you're off, you know you're off, and I think like recognizing mental health or needing help or medicine or talking to someone or a combination of the three. I think some of that comes with age and experience, right? I think at 25, I felt weak. At 35, it felt needed. So I think recognizing that and being mature enough to know that about yourself, you know, when you're young, when you feel off, it might take you, if you be a little older, to recognize what's creating that. But when you feel it, address it. Talk to a friend, ask someone you're close to if you don't have a therapist or feel comfortable going there, but like recognize it and address it. And second, my partners will attest to that. I'm a huge believer. Vacation, unplug, shut it down, go somewhere where there isn't Wi-Fi and you ain't even looking at your damn emails. All three of my partners will tell you like twice a year, I'm out like the fat kid in dodgeball and you can't get me if you try. So I think that's super important. But the mental health side is interesting. It's very of the moment to talk to now. A lot of us have dealt with it like personally in our families for decades. So I think it's powerful that it's out front now, but I think it takes maturity to recognize it in yourself and face it. But everybody's got it, man. Nobody's perfect.
No.
You know, everybody's got an angst. Just some handle it better than others.
For me, I think it's about working out. I make sure that I try to get up and do something. Even on this quarantine, I've kept some sort of consistency. I get up still at 6 a.m. I go out instead of doing my fitness in the gym. I go walking for 2 hours because in New York, I don't know, Brooklyn is not on quarantine for some odd reason. People are outside. So I'm out at 6 and I'm back by 8. And then I come back in the house and I work out, and I feel like that's a real stress reliever for me personally. Fitness for me is everything. So I try to be consistent with that. And also therapy. I think talking to someone is very, very important. I don't think people speak about it enough. You know, I've been going to a therapist since I'm a young teenage girl, just because we go through certain things that other teenagers, you know, other female teenagers go through that we don't know how to handle, or we grew up with. So going to therapy is very, very important as well.
Yeah. And for me, I agree with Ari, the vacation thing is huge. Like actually being able to unplug is big. I think the other thing for me too, and this is more on my side, is I always look for somebody that I can relate to kind of bounce things off. I don't have there aren't a lot of people that look like me and my positions in this industry, right, wrong, or indifferent. So I can always try to find people that I can relate to and kind of bounce things off, to at least making sure that I'm not thinking something that may be quote unquote crazy, but it just helps you feel better about yourself. And like, okay, this person went through this too. All right, I'm not doing something that's different. You know, so finding those people you can relate to, that you can just kind of bounce things off is big too. So whether it's on this platform, the circle of people on here, outside the industry, the more back to relationships, right? How can you have those conversations that start to make you just kind of feel good about things and just get things off your chest that aren't going to judge you, and just kind of have those one-on-one conversations, whether it's with people that you're friends with or colleagues or even therapy too. So just for me, just kind of getting it out with people is definitely a help.
Adi, did that answer your question?
It absolutely did. I wanted to ask you because I feel like most of the younger creatives that I talk to, we all are dealing with that. And I'm not really sure like what happened with our generation, but I feel like everybody that's in my age range is dealing with some sort of depression or some sort of like anxiety. And I wanted to ask you guys that because I felt like it was important for, you know, the people on this call who may not know to ask that, may not know how important that is as a creative, as an entrepreneur. Like that's so important.
I think we all dealt with anxiety when we were your age. I just don't think we knew what it was.
Yeah. And maybe that's maybe what it is.
We're just like shit. Like I'm just gonna get up earlier and get to work faster.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't know what the hell it was.
It does come with age and maturity. To your point, it does.
Well, I also think that being a creative, whether you're writing, you're doing photography, painting, whatever, like that's a great escape. But sometimes that could also be a prison because you're like, what is my purpose here? You know, what is my purpose through this talent that I have, and why isn't anybody recognizing it? And you can go down this spiral real quick. But community is very important. And being around, like I had a mental health conversation with a friend of mine from high school yesterday, and he's in London, and he's an incredible artist, incredible, and he just doesn't see it, you know. And you know, sometimes he spirals into depression, and we just had to have a conversation. I had to open up with him, like I don't always see what I'm doing is fantastic. It takes conversation with friends of mine, and they actually, you know, tell me like, yo, that shit is dope. Like sometimes you just don't see it. You know, in painting, I just wasn't seeing it. I didn't understand what my voice was, right? And that's okay. It's okay. But you just need community. You need to talk about it and put it out. First of all, put whatever you're doing, put it out there. Put it out. I don't care if it's halfway finished, put it out, let people see it, start that conversation, because that conversation is a great one to have, because now you're getting outside of your head and you're getting into the world, and you're having a bigger conversation about the thing that has been trapping you. One of the things that may be trapping you, you know, but put it out there.
Thank you for that.
Yep.
You're welcome, Odyssey. It's good seeing you.
Yes, ma'am.
Same.
All right, be good.
Cool. The next question is going to come from Paris Harris.
Hey, how you doing, bro?
Yeah, what's going on, man? Y'all doing all right?
Man, blessed.
Yeah, what's good?
Oh, blessed.
Not much, man. Chilling. Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity, man. I've been learning a lot from y'all just listening today. Yeah, I'm kind of at that turning point too. When we're trying to figure out like if I should like move, like go to a big city or somewhere, and kind of like just figure it out when I get there, or just stay home and just kind of build it from the ground up. If you have like any advice on that as far as like fashion, getting in the industry, and just like even starting a store.
Where do you
just some
live?
advice on it. Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Ah.
Oh man, I went to
Yeah.
WSSU, big dog.
Yeah, I graduated from Winston too.
Okay, word. That's what's up, man.
Yeah,
I'm proud all day.
2016. Yeah.
Okay, word.
Well, Hutch, I'm gonna let you jump in here because you came from a small city and had to go from a big one. You had to go to a big one reluctantly. You want to jump in here?
Well, my situation is different because my business partner forced me to. No, but I think no. In all seriousness, I mean, I think only you can answer that question for yourself, right? For me, you know, for me, everything starts with what is your goal, and I do a lot of my answering of questions with myself based on who I am, and I spend a lot of time in self-reflection, and sometimes you have to realize it's a fine line. It's a fine line between believing in yourself and lying to yourself. So I spend a lot of time with just making sure that I'm honest with myself. And once you started to dial into that and focus in on that, it kind of gives you I always say it's like a pair of glasses that that you can see things that nobody else can see. And you know, so depending on what you're trying to do, the answer, you have the answer. You just have to decide if you want to make the move or not. And a lot of times we're using fear to make decisions for us. I always say, you know, you can sit with yourself for a while and you've talked yourself into being successful, a millionaire, and then 2 minutes later you talk yourself right out of it. Just from the fear of not even trying. So, you know, I think there's an art to taking the L, right? Like somebody said it earlier about learning, whether it's taking a loss or a lesson. I feel like it's always a lesson. You just got to make sure that the gambles that you take won't necessarily always crap you completely out. But I believe James said it earlier. You want to take L's as much as possible, as early as possible, because it's all lessons. There's lessons in everything that you do. It's just how you look at it, right? So if this is something that you really, really believe in, like whatever your goal is, fashion, photography, whatever it is, if you really believe in it and you're honest with yourself, you're talking yourself out of what you already know. Make the move if that's what you feel. And if it don't work, great. That's just a step. I'm sure most successful people that you could think of, I promise you, what they're successful at now is not normally the first thing that they started. So don't be afraid. Don't let fear be the thing that answers that question for you. You already know what it is. You've thought about it a lot. You just have to have the confidence to make the decision.
I don't think it could be said much better than that. Paris, did that answer your question, brother?
Yeah, 100%, man, 100%.
Man,
I think he read that from a book, just so you know.
Go ahead, Hutch.
Sharif, I told you, I'm the man.
No, brother. Thank you for investing your time with us too, man. We appreciate your support.
Hey, for sure, man. Appreciate it.
All right, love, bro. I think this is the last question of the night. Everybody, after this question, everybody, we're gonna unlock the screen so we can get our screenshots in to share our screenshots so we can all show each other love. And once again, I'm gonna say it now, and if I don't get a chance to say it after the question, I appreciate everybody investing their time in us and what we do, and I appreciate everybody wanting to be better. With that,
we're gonna end on a super high note. We had a lot of home team players on the last one, but I think this is a good one to end on. So we're gonna let Viv ask her question. Miss Kanonsai.
Viv.
Hi. Hold on. Can you guys see me? Uh-oh. Hello?
We can hear you.
We can hear you. We're just waiting to see you.
Okay. Hold on. One with my camera. Uh-oh, I don't know what's going on with my camera, but how's everyone doing?
Good.
Good. Good. It was really cool getting to hear about everyone's points. Also, I'm Vivian. I'm one of the photographers at the Whitaker group for social status, by the way. But it was really cool getting to hear about everyone's pivoting points. You know, it's really comforting getting to know and hear everyone's success sprouting from a change in career paths. Because, you know, I've spoke to Dave about this, but I was a biology major. So I went to school, worked in a lab, worked in retail during college, so I had retail experience. Kind of got tired of being in the science field and wanted to pursue my dreams in photography and just creating. So I took up a position as a photographer at the Whitaker group. But, my main question was, what are some of the most fulfilling parts along some of your journeys? And this is a general question for everyone.
It's easy.
Money.
Nah.
No,
for us, I think most of my partners would agree. I think we're 15 years old now, and we've had so many people come through our doors that have spread through the industry that are in great positions across big brands, their own companies, competing agencies. And I think for us, it's like the, age old, each one teach one, right? We've seen so many foundation graduates spread through not only this industry, but other industries and be successful. And we humbly think that we played a role in that. And I think for myself, at least, and I'm sure my partners would agree, that's been the most gratifying.
No, same. I think watching it all grow and watching our team take control. Like even you, I didn't realize that you were a bio major. I think there's something in the water around here because Mike went from wanting to be a neuroscience or whatever.
It was an eye doctor. He was about to be an eye doctor.
Mike was about to be an eye doctor. Now I'm just
optometrist. That's the word.
Yeah, I'm now hearing this about you, Viv, and I hadn't known it, but it's watching you guys evolve and watching you guys continue to fall in love with the process and what we do every day. And I get a chance to learn from y'all as much as y'all are learning from me. So for me, that's 100% what it is.
Yeah, it's great to hear that. It's crazy. I have a degree in marine biology, so I wanted to take a totally different route. I actually had passions to become a Nat Geo photographer and stumbled upon into loving editorials and fashion and creating and whatnot. So yeah, it was really cool to see, like, y'all made great points about different achievement points and feeling compelled to work, no matter where you are or where you get to be, the ambition becomes limitless. Yeah.
I mean, I think that your gut tells you. I have a similar background to yours. I went to school for electronics. I was in the military working on electronic and computer systems for almost 6 years. And then I was going to follow that career path. And that just wasn't it for me. I couldn't see myself in a lab all day stuck,
Right.
you know, changing out cards and trying to find out the faulty resistor on a card. I just couldn't see that in a white suit in an air-conditioned lab looking at oscilloscopes. I wanted to draw. I wanted to do something creative. I knew that. And I think that if you don't fulfill that passion, you know, it burns through you, especially being a creative, you know. And I think that it's also great to have an analytical side being a creative as well. So it's not just like burning desire to throw some paint up, but you also try to understand the business of what you're going into. So cheers to you for following your gut.
Thank you. Thank you. I know for a while my parents were like, wait, what are you doing again?
Yeah.
Being first generation, you can't see me, first generation Asian American. So it was really cool just seeing all types of representation of everyone from different walks of life, different backgrounds in the fashion industry and the marketing industry as well.
Well, cheers to you.
No, it's obviously cheers, Viv. You made me smile. Dave Goodpool for the last question. And with everyone, this session is a wrap.